The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eckert.
With the force of Belgium behind us, the Pacific Majors returns to the west and goes all the way west as the drivers rock up to Auto Club Speedway in California. With multiple road and oval races under their belts, the most versatile and consistent drivers are becoming obvious just by looking at the points table. But today they will have to deal with the high speeds of this fearsome D-shaped oval for an entire 500 miles. We'll find out who is top dog as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the Pacific Majors live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth tonight is Bill Soupzon. And granting us his oval and IndyCar expertise is James Krahula. Behind the scenes is our director Kevin Brown, and he is using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. James, I have to imagine today is going to be a test of bravery for a few of these guys. Tell us what they're up against here at Fontana.
Well, Fontana is a fast track, and another thing that it's very characteristic for is it's very, very wide. The sister track of Michigan, it's been open since the early 90s. We have 2 miles on here tonight. Like you said, it's a D-shaped oval. 14 degrees in the turn, so nothing too outrageous out there, but 11 degrees still on that front stretch, so we don't go to much more. 500 miles tonight and 250 laps. These guys are going to be going against a very interesting endurance event. And we do have a lap guide to show us around. Bryce will be showing us a few laps here to get around this racetrack.
Hello, this is L. Bryce Whitson Jr. coming to you from the Global Sim Racing channel Dallara DW12 here at the Auto Club Speedway. So coming out of the pits, we're going to get right up here next to this wall in order to get as much speed as we can through the corner, because as you'll find, the longer this car runs, about the faster you're going to go. We're going to get up to about 4th gear going down this back stretch, getting ready to go into turn 3. At this point in time, we're just going to ease it down in here into turn 3 and just barely get down near that bottom seam. Coming off the corner, we're going to watch our RPMs, watch for our steering wheel to blink, shift up to gear 5, and here we go. The key to this car is to be as smooth as you can. So somewhere between the 1 and the 2, you're going to start turning down into the corner. You're going to just tap that downshift until you can shift into 4th, and then wait until it blinks again coming up off of 2 and shift back up to 5. Again, down into turn 3, we're going to start tapping that shifter to get down into 4th gear. Let it shift down there as soon as it wants to, and then let it drift off coming off of turn 4. As soon as your shifter blinks, you're going to shift back up to gear 5. Now this is going to work great for your qualifying laps and for your practice laps. Once you get into the pack, though, you're not going to have that option to downshift in the center of the corner because you're going to be carrying so much more speed. Your key once you're in the pack is to follow the guy in front of you and use his draft to your advantage. You'll find out even that while you're in the pack, you're going to be using 5th gear and 6th gear more than you are 4th and 5th. So this car is not going to give up a lot of grip on you, except possibly start getting a little bit loose coming off the corner as you get into the run and that fuel load gets a little lighter. Speaking of fuel, you're going to get somewhere around 40 laps of fuel in this car. So that gives you about 40 laps to think about what you're going to do on this pit stop. So here we are, we're going to come down the back stretch and take it down into the pits. Again, in this car, we're going to be coming into the pits super fast and super smooth. Really chalk those brakes down 55 mile an hour, and down the pit road we go. So that, folks, is a couple laps around Auto Club Super Speedway in the Dallara DW12, brought to you by the Global Sim Racing channel.
So as you can see, going to be some very high speeds around this circuit. Well, we mentioned the championship in the intro, Bill, and like we said, we're starting to get an idea of who our major players are this year.
It is. As the season moves on, as the season gets shorter in length at the end, the picture becomes a little clearer. Let's start by looking at the Governor's Cup. Now, it's virtually a dead heat between Northwest and the Texas Club. Now, Texas is in the fight with a smaller army but more powerful weapons. Alan Haseback Chris Pence, James Wyckoff, and Mike Franklin sit 1st, 3rd, 7th, and 8th in the championship driver points. Now, Northwest has Brian Barnes, Wayne Hutchinson, and Kyle Murphy sitting 4th, 6th, and 10th. Certainly not as impressive as what Texas can boast, but Northwest's strength is in the depth of their club. Making up the shortcomings at the top is tremendous depth from drivers that are sitting outside the 10th, just in sheer numbers. And all the aforementioned drivers are racing here today in the pro split, except for Weisskopf. Now, Michael Smith and Lionel Little Train Callisto lead the way for California, which sits almost 1,000 points out of the lead in 3rd. Club West is relegated to last, despite Rob Gall, who sits 2nd in the Drivers' Championship. Now, speaking of the Drivers' Championship, Hayspec and Gall sit 1-2. Pence, Barn, and Smith round out the top 5. Gall, Pence, and Barnes have been much more impressive on ovals than on road courses this season, so look for those 3 to move up in the standings. In the Sportsman's Division, Mike Franklin in the Texas Club has been very strong. He's actually sits 8th in the championship points. Aaron Stowe, Mark Redeker, Robert Petrus, and Sam Boren round out the top 5. Now, Franklin, Redeker, and Boris are racing in the pro split tonight. Many of the other sportsmen will be driving in the amateur split broadcast by our friends at LSR TV. In the Legends Division, that's for drivers who are over 50, certainly something that I would qualify for. Gall and Barnes and Hutchinson make up the podium. Carl Burke and Chris Beck round out the top 5. Joe, we'll try to cover the 4 club championships during the race when the opportunities present themselves. Back to you, buddy.
Hopefully we won't get too many opportunities, since we'll probably read those out during cautions. We're hoping for a nice clean race out there today. Say that West is so far down because I can't be out there driving, but I don't think anybody's buying that one.
That must be it.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the pit strategy and how that is going to work out. James, we understand you've done a little bit of research on the fuel runs and what it's going to look like under green, at least.
Yeah, so these guys should be able to run around roughly 41 laps, according to my calculations earlier in the race, but that was fuel, full blast. We're on the top fuel map there. We're burning everything that we got. Now, something that these guys do have the pleasure of doing tonight is messing with that fuel map, and they will be able to drop it back down and save some fuel. These tires are definitely going to wear as this race goes on. And I think that once those tires get in a few laps on them, you'll see people starting to run single file, and you're going to start to see people conserve and see if they can cut down on a pit stop.
It'll certainly be interesting to see what how they go about that. Sorry, apologies, we had just a couple technical issues, but it looks like we're back now. As well, Bill, I'm kind of curious to see what names wind up towards the front that we're kind of used to seeing maybe putting in a little bit more effort than others. Guys like David Williams of the TNT team, who've been known to put in just gobs and gobs of laps.
Yeah, and what's interesting, one of the guys who's notorious for that is Weisskopf. Now, he's not feeling well, so he's not here tonight. I also think Wyckoff. I also think his computer is also ill. So between his personal health and the maladies of his PC, he's not here. But usually he puts in tons of time. Williams always puts in a lot of time. Now, what's interesting is I talked to Alan Hayspec last race, and I said, you know, you're doing well on the ovals, but he doesn't consider himself an oval racer. But when you look at the points, he's really well balanced between what he's done on road courses and what he's done on ovals as well. And another thing, Joe, is while this is an oval track, a lot of the oval specialists come from those big, bulky NASCAR cars, and they don't really feel comfortable in these little kind of upside-down jets that are locked to the ground here. They consider it more of a road car on an oval. And certainly, you have to be at least for me, you have to be some type of engineer from MIT to do these setups. Man, they are something else. I have no idea what I'm doing when I start playing around.
That's actually probably a good question for James, because I know, James, you've straddled both worlds. So we've watched you race in the trucks, actually, on our broadcast, and you race on in Lionheart as well, which runs the IndyCar. So, I mean, what's kind of the biggest or the toughest transition between the NASCAR world and the IndyCar world?
Jack of all trade, master of none. Something that we've had a real big problem with going over from the Fender cars to our open wheel cars is the push. as they like to nicely say over at Lionheart. The push is real, and in these cars, that could not be further from the truth. You're going to see people trying to run different lines than you will than what they're probably used to going in with a fendered car on there. So something that you'll probably see is someone running a different line compared to the person in front of them, trying to run one lane up or one lane down. That's something in the stock cars you'll probably try and stick right behind the person in front of you, and you have to definitely drive these cars a little bit differently in just how you react around traffic.
Now, this isn't the first time that these drivers have driven the DW12. Obviously, we held the Pacific Majors Indy 500, and it's a slightly different track, but also very high speed, so they should be at least a little used to driving these upside-down jets, as Bill so nicely put it. And we'll see who can come out on top here. Unfortunately, we don't have some of the major players that we saw a few months ago back in the month of May out here, but still some familiar faces in the form of Wayne Hutchinson and Chris E. Pence out there rifling off laps and putting it up towards the top of the timing sheets here in practice, Bill.
Absolutely. And to follow up on one of the points you were making between D and here, in the real world racing, the racing in Indy and in California was totally different this season for the real IRL. IRL, boy, I did it myself there, didn't I, for IndyCar. The race they had at Fontana this season was really scary with pack racing. I thought it was kind of ironic that these cars are named after Dan Weldon, and that they were right back doing that kind of nonsense again at Fontana. We were talking to James earlier. We don't think we're going to see that type of pack racing I was talking about because of the push. It's going to be more single file, and I think our simulator racing is probably going to resemble more of what we saw at Indy earlier in the pack majors than what we saw real world racing from California.
Listen, we don't mention the IRL around these parts. That's a banished memory.
Yeah. Where's my soap?
As we watch poor Chad Baker going for quite a bit of Chad Barker, actually breakdancing a bit. This is a known bug with these Indy cars, and I think he's going to have trouble stopping this thing, unfortunately. So he might have to wait until the session switches. I'm not sure that we want an onboard because our poor viewers might
I'm
get
getting
nauseous.
dizzy myself.
Yeah.
Well, there's sim racing. Wait, I think it's settling down now.
Yeah.
There's sim racing.
Yeah, and actually, I wanted to mention that our viewers who aren't familiar with iRacing as much and have been watching the real world might notice that these cars are slightly different. That's because iRacing has the old DW12 before the body kits of this season. So that's also going to allow them to do slightly different than the pack racing that we saw in the real world here at California, which makes up some of the difference. So we've got about 30 seconds left here in practice, and we're going to be able to go through the grid. Who have you guys got your eye on as far as looking strong today? I'll start with you, Bill.
Well, Beck is at the top of the chart. I like Chris Pence. I like him on ovals. I think that's somebody. Look, he's going to be very patient. I don't think he's going to make a mistake. Somebody, I'm hoping, I haven't looked for him yet. I'm hoping Little Train Callisto is here today, but I don't see his name on the... No, he is there. 15th in practice. He's going to start at the back of the pack because he didn't get in, I don't think, a qualifying time. Keep an eye on him. Lionel Callisto.
James, who you got your eye on?
Personally, I'm pulling for our breakdancer out there, still going on
yes,
the track.
Of course.
But I've been watching him practice, and I like the way that he reacts with these cars, how he's been driving, and I think that he's going to put up a good show tonight.
And poor Chad Barker was still spinning, actually, when they finally switched the session. Now they are lining up on the grid. Before we go through this, one thing that we should mention is that you're not going to see guys who are just hot lappers up at the front. They do what's called a Q-Con, so it's not just traditional qualifying in these cars. They have to do, I believe it's 20 laps, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Out on ovals, and they take the average from the 20 laps instead of doing 2 or 4. And that is to ensure that drivers don't spend their time trying to put in a good qualifying setup and don't get themselves wind up with a miserable race setup. So let's go through that qualifying order. Out on the pole, we have Ryan Otis. We're used to seeing him up towards the top. Jason Fleischle is going to round out the front row. Then Christian Steele starts row 2 and 3rd. Adam Young will start in 4th, followed by James Paulson in 5th. And then, Bill, we've got Michael Smitty Smith starting in 6th place.
Okay, my pick, Chris Pence is going to start 7th. Hutchinson is going to be Drew Lalonde in the 9th position. Outside of row 10 is Chad Barker. Nick Hunt in 11th, and in the dozen spot is Henry Clark. James?
Yeah, then we have Carl Burke going to be starting 14th, and outside of him will be Doyle Lawrence. Then we have Ray Partridge starting in 16th tonight. Then we have Mike Franklin. Then finally we'll have Stephen Polsine starting tonight in 18th.
As Stephen Paulson actually in 17th, and Larry Ford in 18th. Then we've got Mark Redeker starting the race in 19th. Sam Boren will kick it off in 20th position, then Ryan Bird in 21st, Mark Jukbinski in 22nd, Rob Gall in 23rd, and Alan Hasbeck in 24th, Bill.
Jason Pitts in the 25th spot. Back behind him, David Williams, way back in 27th. So if you wanted somebody to keep an eye on, there's your guy. Kyle Murphy, 28th. Matt Gelder, 29th. Then we have two drivers that do not have times here, but I think they're starting, Lionel Callisto and Brian Barnes. Yep, they're both out there.
Pace car is heading towards that pit entry. Peel off here, and then we'll get the green flag for 500 miles. There goes the pace car. It's Ryan Otis leading the way. He accelerates away, and there's the green flag. They are off here for the Auto Club Speedway MAV TV 500.
Everybody clean in the back so far as they go through turn 1.
Everyone's looking very patient here at the start. A couple guys sorting themselves out towards the back. A couple people getting very close. Mark Jabinski got awful close to Chris Beck there for a moment. Oh, and we've got a slow car down on the inside. That's Jason Pitts. Not sure what happened there.
I think he's just getting in the line, trying to stay out of that trouble.
He's all the way down to 28th. Meanwhile, he started the race in, it looks like, 25th, so he didn't lose too much. In the meantime, Ryan Otis is still our leader, hasn't been able to break away. Christian Steele holding on the back of him, and Jason Fleischle in 3rd. In fact, it's those top 3 have got themselves a nice gap from the rest, Bill.
Absolutely, and a guy to keep an eye on who's making his way through. David Williams is really flying. He's passing cars left and right. He went to the inside, making his move. He's about picked up 10 spots already.
3 and 4, 3 and 4.
Oh,
There's
big crash. Pitts is involved in it.
Let's see if we can get a replay
Lionel
on this.
Callisto.
Here we've got the replay. Let's see. Redeker was down low. And, oh, looks like it was actually ghost contact there between himself and couldn't see who that was he made contact with, unfortunately.
They're saying there was maybe somebody might have been blinking also, that they didn't see them.
Looks like
it did look like ghost contact.
Jason Pitts was who he made contact with.
Pitts was that car that was on the inside going slow that you had mentioned early before.
No,
I'm not sure
that was Redeker actually going slow. Jason Pitts was involved. Lionel Callisto was involved. And it looks like it's only 3 cars, thankfully.
Yeah, and Callisto, I'm not really sure. I think, from my angle, I think it was ghost contact. That's kind of a net lag where the cars, iRacing, thinks they make contacts, but they really don't. It looked like there was space between the two. That's kind of unfortunate.
That's something that's very common in these cars, too. We see that a lot.
So something these drivers will have to think about throughout the rest of the race. I mean, we're used to seeing very close racing on the oval side of things, especially at a track like this, which is almost Talladega-esque in some aspects, but they are going to have to give each other just a little bit of breathing room. One thing to mention is that they do have what we call fast resets or fast repairs. They've got one, Bill, and tell us a little bit about that for our viewers not familiar with iRacing.
Well, it's basically in golf you call it a mulligan. If you have a problem, you can come in and instantly get a free brand new fresh car, fresh paint, fresh tires. It's ready to go. Actually, I don't think the tires are fresh. I think you actually have to stay there and change them if you have old tires. But basically, you get a brand new car, which can come in handy. But you don't like to use it on lap 4 of a 250 lap race, because now your mulligan is gone. Your ace in the hole has been exposed. So those 3 drivers are going to have to keep clean now. If they make a mistake, it's just like their race is over unless they come in for an extended repair.
As the pace car comes up to 3 here, James, do you think we'll see any of the back markers come in and maybe try and take a pit, just get a little splash, see if it does anything later on?
Yeah, you might try to extend it out a little bit. If you run your strategy right, there's a good chance you could easily save a pit stop here during this race. And if you're able to do that and you do get that green flag run, well, you're going to be looking really good by that time. You're going to be safe and not coming down pit road.
And let's see if anybody heads into pit lane here. I'm not seeing anybody yet. Looks like everybody's electing to just kind of hold on and see how things play out before we get too far into this. Bill, since we've got a little bit of time, actually just about a lap because the lights have just gone off on the pace car.
I'll do the California Club standings here real quick. We can get those graphics up there. Let's look at the Big Kahuna Award for the top California drivers. Michael Smith has a win and 2 top 5s, is in the lead. Lionel Kalisto, who we see had trouble, also has a win, but now he sits 13 points back, and he's certainly going to have trouble now with that problem. Jason Pitts is still in the hunt with 21 points out of the lead. Ben Blanc and Bob Beltrami round out the top 5, Joe.
So that is our California Club drivers out there. Some of them are out there, actually, I believe, not all of them.
Well, Kalisto was out there. I think he's back. I jinxed him, didn't I?
Yeah, unfortunately, commentator's curse strikes again.
Sorry, Lionel.
We'll see how they take off on this first restart. It's going to be single file, so should be probably a little less chaotic unless someone is really caught napping out there. Currently still Ryan Otis in the lead. Christian Steele going to run up in second. Jason Fleischle and that Red Bull machine in third. And Adam J. Young has caught back up thanks to this caution. He's going to start the race in fourth. Pace car now comes up to the pit entry. There he goes, ducks off. Ryan Otis leads the way. He has control. Now he accelerates, gets a good jump on Christian Steele. And green flag once again here at Auto Club.
Contact up. We got someone in the grass here on the front stretch you got ran into on that restart.
And that was Nick Hunt.
Oh, then a big wreck in 1. Get another 3 cars involved with like Ryan Bird.
Paulison is in it.
This is not the start that we wanted. That was just going 3 wide, actually, as we look at the replay here. Just caught the tail end of it. Looks like cars were almost checking up, and poor Steve Paulison got run into by David Williams. Did they collect Ryan Bird? The car that went into the grass a little bit earlier, I believe, was Nick Hunt, and that was completely unrelated. That was what James had called earlier. Looks like he got run into by Carl Burke.
I think that did cause that checkup, though, that we saw. That's what caused the calamity down in turn 1.
Oh, you're right. That was Ray Partridge who got out of it and had cars going 3 wide next to him, and the cars behind him just got tangled up. There we see Nick Hunt there trying to save it. That was a nice save, actually.
Well, right now, Haseback is over the mic talking to all the drivers, saying, "Be careful of the pace car. It's slow. Don't get bunched up."
So when this happens, James, as an oval driver, I mean, it's probably getting a little bit antsy now. You've had a restart and the start already. You've had 2 accidents. What do you do to calm down and keep yourself from getting a little bit too excited here at the start?
Yeah, you think with these endurance events, you really do need to have a different mindset, but I mean, this is also, a big event. There's not a whole lot of series out here that run, such a major event like this, and you want to be good. So, you do have to calm down. You do have to realize, hey, we're going to be out here for another we're not even 10 laps in. We still have over 460 miles still to go here. So you just got to take a deep breath, kind of calm down, and work on it. I will say though that a lot of these guys, if they are the oval guys, they're gonna be used to these double file restarts, and surprisingly, single file restarts are pretty difficult. You have a lot more chain effect than you're used to in the on the stock car side. There's a lot more. You're ready to go when you're in a stock car, and then when these cars go, there's a little bit more of a wait, and you have those guys that are ready to do that jump up there, and then you have the road course guys that aren't used to doing restarts. So I could understand why we have a little bit of calamity on that restart, but maybe they'll get that figured out here.
Yeah, that's a good point, that we have quite a variety of expertise out there. Although obviously in the qualifying with the QCon, you tend to get a few more of the oval guys up here in the top split. Well, Bill, speaking of a big breath and letting an exhale, you have some more points, I understand, for us?
Yeah, I was going to ration these throughout the race. I got 3 more to do. We'll see if this pace we'll have them done here in the next 10 minutes. Let's look at the Bigfoot Award. That goes to the top drivers of the Northwest Drivers, the Northwest Club. Lots of big names here to look at, but no wins from these guys, or even any top 5s in the bunch. Brian Barnes way out in front. 18 points back is Wayne Hutchinson. 32 points out of the lead is Kyle Murphy. Carl Burke and Chris Beck round out the top 5. Now, guys, did we make a note? Did anybody come in and top off from the back before? And I'm wondering now. I certainly think you'd want to come in if you're at the back, get some fuel.
I didn't see any. Lights are off on the pace car. James, did you catch any?
I just saw Ryan Bird coming in, and I think he was getting his faster from that.
Well, that works as probably a full tank, so maybe we'll see him on a long stint if these guys all have to make their pit stop here. Probably, and well, it's hard to say. Most of these laps have been under yellow.
Probably not the situation in which that he wanted to come in and take that
not
stop.
The strategy he wanted was to crash and get a fresh car? Probably not.
Yeah.
I really do think this is going to be interesting, though, because especially with these cautions here at the start, I think that if they can get a green flag run going, I think that there are some people that might be able to squeeze in. What I've been talking about is getting that one less stop going. And if they've been playing their fuel strategy right and doing their conserving, especially here under the yellow, you have the chance to actually put it in that lowest fuel map, put it in a high gear, and you're spending hardly any gas. So we'll see if someone can pull some interesting strategy here.
Drivers will have to be thinking they'll have to have their crew chief on it, but right now who is on it is Ryan Otis as he accelerates with the green. Christian Steele following him, and Jason Fleischle still in third. Jason with a good jump on the line, but not enough to try and overtake that second spot.
They're pretty much strung out, the top 10. In fact, they're much more strung out this start than they were before. Much more strung out.
I think everybody's kind of learned their lesson a little bit. We do see a little bit of battling going on a little farther back with Mark Redeker and Ryan Bird as Redeker moves himself up into 29th. Also a little battle going on between Kyle Murphy and Lionel Callisto. Still obviously having used his free car as well. He's got the inside. Now we heard you talk a little bit about this before the race, James, about the inside versus the outside line, though, when trying to pass.
Yeah, I think that we're still fairly early into a run here. As you can see, some of the guys here, David Williams just made a really good pass on someone down there in turn 1. But yes, so when you're first in the beginning of a stint, you're not going to have to worry too much about the tires. You can kind of run wherever you want to. And so, like I said earlier, it's a very, very wide track. You can kind of just go where the driver isn't going. Give them another 10 laps here, those tires are going to start to wear, and we're going to start to see a little bit more single file. So that's where the things are going to be interesting. You're going to see people, staggering their way through the corner right there, and that's a perfect example too. If you were just looking at it looks like it was Chris Beck there. Looks like he got a little bit of push there, following a car in front of him, and he had to get out and almost got passed there by David Williams, but. We got a couple more laps here, and then we're going to see a little less side-by-side, and you're going to see people try and make that pass on the straightaway instead of the corners.
We've hopped back up to the front right now with Ryan Otis still leading the way. We're going to just watch this for a little bit, see how these guys try to play it out. These are top drivers, the fastest guys, most of them being towards the oval. And look at Christian Steele, though. He's got a run coming to the outside here early on lap 14. Is he going to be able to make it stick, though? Looks like just doesn't have the momentum.
No, he took a peek on the outside, be a little test, and then you never really know maybe if he was serious about it, but it looks like he has a little momentum now, maybe caught in the toe. Is he going to duck to the inside?
There he goes. Change for the first one of the night. Christian Steele overtakes Ryan Otis here for P1.
Otis didn't, really wasn't, I don't think he was that upset about it, really didn't do much to fight that. It's early. You know, a driver that we have to, Steele now, maybe we have another pass for early. Look at those different lines that James was talking about there as Otis trying to get clean air. In fact, he lost a lot of momentum on the lead. Now he's challenged, threatened now by that Fleischle has him.
We're riding on board with Fleischle, and it looks like he's managed to overtake him. He's got the inside. Otis is not giving up. He's trying to carry that speed up around the high side, and it looks like they're going to still be side by side as they come across the line for lap 16 here.
Ooh, there was some contact between 2 cars and 4.
We're going to jump back to Drew Lalonde here in 12th position. He's in a nice little battle. He's got Chad Barker around him. Hopefully he's been able to recover from that spin in practice. And look at Drew Lalonde really carrying the speed off of that corner and then some. And it looks like Barker had a terrible exit because now he is under threat from Ray Partridge down to the inside. So Barker all the way down to 13th.
Now just a couple spots behind them, running 17th, is David Williams. Now I mentioned that he was caught in that spin that we had that brought out the last yellow. He did not bring his car in. That's still the same car he has. I don't see any damage on it, so maybe he just did a little loop. I guess his tires are still okay, but he's flying right now. Looking ahead there, trying to make a move on Chris Beck, and there he goes. And maybe going 3 wide, tucking in behind is Jason Pitts.
I was going to say Pitts backed out of that. I think he knew better this earlier in the race. Oh, but now he's going to make it 3 wide as he stays low, and David Williams gets swamped by Chris Beck and Jason Pitts.
I think Williams got caught up in a little arrow wash there and got very loose. But he is an exciting show right now. Williams is putting on quite a look there in that GT simulator.
And Jason Fleischle is not sitting around. He's gone from 3rd to 1st in only a couple laps, just overtaken Christian Steele. Now, looking at the gap, though, we've got 2 seconds between our 3rd place guy, Ryan Otis, and Smitty, Michael Smith. So these guys are breaking away and had another attempt at a lead change. Christian Steele trying around the outside, but not able to carry the speed. Now he's got some momentum. Draft pulling him down to the inside. Into 3. One more lead change. Christian Steele back to the front.
And James, I actually think that, and there's another pass for second there as actually going to drop down to 3rd. James, I think that actually saves the guys time when they do that slingshot, because it gives them a fat laugh if they're caught in that draft and they swing by.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different than a NASCAR draft. Most people will probably be used to. And yeah, that slingshot's actually going to wind up being a little bit quicker. You're not being able to do any bump drafting, or you probably can bump draft once. But that's something that it's a little bit different than you have to do that here. So you do want to slingshot around that guy. If the person was wanting to work with you, they'll probably let you go down on the inside, and then they'll kind of tuck back around, and then you'll continue that on the next straightaway.
We saw a little bit of the onboard from Michael Smith, and he's just kind of all by his lonesome right now. He's got about a second back to Wayne Hutchison, who is actually battling with Chris Pence at the moment, though Pence has a couple car lengths to try and get up on that rear wing.
And Joe, what James has talked about earlier, we really don't know what kind of cards these guys are holding, because somebody could be on full rich, somebody could be running on a setting that's a couple notches down. So we really won't know until this race gets closer to the end who really has what.
And that's what makes it exciting is the unpredictability. Fleischle took a little bit of a look around Ryan Otis, but didn't
Car
quite
in the
have
wall,
the
run the start
speed.
finish line.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got an
Partridge is in
accident.
the wall, I think.
See
Partridge
if we
in the
can
wall.
find that.
Car number. Now he's dropping back. Yeah. It's a yellow and blue car.
We're going to look at the replay.
Well, he cannot get it off the wall either. He's just killing it.
We're staying green. He just washed it up on the exit of 4, it looks like. Here we're going to get a good look at it. He was on the outside of another car. I'm taking a look who that is. Looks like Mike Franklin. Here we are on board. You can see that car just start to drift up. It's a little too close to the wall, and it's like a vacuum. Cannot get away from it after that.
That's a worst case scenario for him. His car is really ruined, and it didn't even bring out a yellow flag. So I'm going to have probably come in, get a fresh car, and be. In fact, he's going a lap down right now, so leaders go right by him.
Well, the good news for him is that they are going to have a lucky dog in effect, and that is the Tyee Kennels lucky dog if they get another caution. That's what Ray Partridge is certainly going to be hoping for, as now he enters pit lane. But we are on board with Ryan Otis, looking back at Jason Fleischle, still chasing him down.
What was that
guys,
lucky dog? No? Kai Kennels?
Tyee Kennels.
Tyee Kennels. Well, that's nice. A sponsor for this series.
Guys, I was saying earlier that we'll probably see people go single file as the run goes on. We're not seeing that. We are kind of seeing that pack. And so they're for sure proving me wrong for my predictions earlier on. I guess that they're doing some crazy things with these open setups out here.
There's a quote I always love to bring out when we have a newcomer to a car. It's amazing what one can do when one doesn't know what one can't do. Currently, we're watching Chad Barker sitting in 19th. Remember, he was having a nice little battle with David Williams. Right now, though, he's putting a move on the inside of Alan Hasebeck, though, jumping up into 18th position.
Partridge has brought his car back out onto the track. I'm assuming it's fresh.
Yeah, definitely a case where he's going to want to use that car. So we jump back to Larry Ford in 21st.
While you're looking at Ford, here's your drivers who are lapped down. Stephen Paulison, Ryan Bird, Ray Partridge, and Adam Young. Adam Young, 9 laps down, he's out of the race.
And
No, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Adam Young's is still, he's back out there.
Oh, glad to see him continuing. It's a long race. It's worth trying to fight for. And meanwhile, we've got a fight between Matt Gelder, Mark Jabinski, and Larry Ford. Ford may be able to get the pass done. It's like James was saying, we've got a lot of battling going on, and still Gelder not done with it because he's got Jabinski on the inside as they head to 1. Jabinski gets it nice and clean up into that position. These guys still fighting, though. Oh, and Gelder got very close to that outside wall on the exit, though.
Good. Jubinski having a nice run looking at the car ahead of him there of Larry Ford. It's Larry Ford, Jubinski, and then Matt Gelder, and then right behind them, Nick Hunt getting into the picture.
Remember, Hunt had a very scary moment where he got tipped from behind on a restart, took a trip through the grass. He is back up to 24th, and he is all over the back of Gelder now. Looks like he might be able to get that position. He's got the car on the inside. Can he make it work coming through 3 and 4? Gelder holds on, but he has to give up the ghost. And look at the car with a run behind them. Ryan Bird with a huge amount of speed coming up behind him. And Mark Redeker goes down a position thanks to that. In fact, he's going to get one more as he looks to the inside of Gelder. Car on a charge right now is Ryan Bird.
Ryan Bird really flying in that Volt, in that vape fuel car. Beautiful car.
We're talking about cars. I have to give a shout out to Larry Ford, huge Sam Hornish fan back in the good old days of the unmentionable IRL. That is, it's cool to see a Pennzoil open wheel car out there on the track.
I guess for my sake, I'll refer back to Rick Mears with that Pennzoil's paint, maybe, for good old Larry Ford. Right now, though, we're looking at Alan Hasebeck, who's in another battle here that we got going on for 18th, 19th, 20th position. In fact, a whole lot of cars all around these guys. were saying we won't see pack racing, and even though this isn't pack racing, this is definitely quite some fierce battling going on between these guys. It's almost 3 wide down the front stretch. We hop on board with David Williams, who's currently trying to fight back Barker.
Williams is really the engine of this caboose, or engine of this train, as you see Barker taking a peek on the outside.
Doesn't quite have the momentum, though, as they come into 3 and 4. Not sure. He's trying to hold on. Going too wide here isn't allowing Alan Haysbeck and that orange machine to close up on them. Doesn't really have anywhere to go, though, down the front stretch. Doesn't have the speed. Just going to hold back as we jump on board with Alan Haysbeck. These guys are fighting very hard early on, 32 laps in.
Beautiful orange Oculus car currently running in 19th position. You know, we talked about David Williams. Really flew through the field from the back of the pack, but then, you know, as the competition stiffens, it's a little harder to get through. He seems to have found his leveling spot here in 17th.
I think it might be the fact that he's got a bit of a gap to the next car up, to back, so he doesn't have that draft to help him. And to make matters worse, he's got Barker and Haysbeck that want to get back in front of him, so that's slowing him down too. Getting word that we've got a change for P2, Jason Fleischle. There you can see in the green car, I'm sorry I called that incorrectly earlier, he's moved up into that second position. Christian Steele, though, has been holding on to first for quite a while now. He's led 19 laps so far, so he has actually got the most laps led of the field. 3 have led, but that's going to change now as Fleischle has a run down into 3, and he's got it done by the time they hit the corner.
Well, James, we're working lap 34 now. Now, we've had several under yellow, but it won't be too long till these leaders are going to have to come in.
I did just hear someone say that they were coming in the pit. I can't know who that was.
I heard the same thing I was just about to say, and our top 3 very close together as Christian Steele washes up wide in that draft, and that's going to allow Otis to get inside and get a better run off the corner. Actually, if you look in the back, you can see that Smitty is closing now. Yeah. We've got
that was Henry Clark that came in.
So at least one driver electing for a bit of an alternate strategy compared to most. Green flag stops back to bite him. Now we've got a 4-horse race for the lead here.
It's hard to say. Smith may have turned the boost up of there a bit to get with those guys, and now he can whatever he burned to get there, he can certainly save by being in 4th place.
It's actually a good question. Is it worth holding in the draft to try and save fuel, James? Does it do anything?
Well, the draft is your friend, and the draft is also your foe. Depends if you're going straight or if you're turning. So, but definitely you can save a lot of fuel by tucking it behind a car, and by getting that tow, you can actually run a lower fuel setting and just, bide your time and just wait, and make the guy in front do all the work. Make him waste all his fuel and go ahead and save all of yours. And again, it's all about, almost had contact there with Dave Williams. He's going to be close. He misses the wall, but that was very close there. But yeah, something that by dropping in that lower fuel map, you can run the same speed. You could leapfrog that guy on the pits if he needs to pit an extra time.
Meanwhile, we've been watching a battle on screen between
got a car
Smitty
in the
and
wall.
Steele.
It looks like Paulison in the wall.
No caution yet.
James Paulison is going real slow. It's like corner 1. He's actually outside of corner 1 for Paulson. There's your yellow.
That was actually Paulson, not Paulson. We're going to look at the replay here. There we can see him coming in through 3 and 4. You said it happened in 1?
Yeah, it looks like just past pit exit.
Oh, wow. Well, he was riding the wall, actually. That was coming out of 3 and 4, so that was quite a hit.
It happened in 3 and 4, and it ended in 1.
Yeah, he was pulling an interesting sort of wall of death move there, riding sideways for quite a while. So that was serious damage for poor James Paulson. currently scored in 25th place, so he's going to have to go and get his spare car and try and come back.
I'm definitely talking to series organizers. There should be a rule that you cannot have Paulson and Paulson in the same race. That's asking too much of me. Well, I think we're going to see pit stops here, boys.
Mike Franklin is definitely in. Did he have some damage that we didn't see? So, yeah, here comes our leaders. So, even though we haven't been completely at green stops and we're only at 39 laps in, everyone's thinking now is about as good as it gets. Jason Fleischle leads the way. Ryan Otis in second. Christian Steele was able to fend off Smitty for third. Let's see who's able to come out ahead in these stops. Oh, close moments there for, who's that? Franklin, I believe, who is just exiting. And he's kind of caught out. He has to stay to the inside there to try and get by these leaders.
Someone missed their pit.
Hearing Christian Steele missed his pit stall. Otis is out first. He's able to jump Fleischle. So, lead change in the pit stops, and Smitty is able to overtake Christian Steele. Same thing with Wayne Hutchison. So, awful stop for Christian Steele with missing his pit stall.
And just to follow up on Franklin, he's an interesting case because he's doing really well and he's dominating the sportsman class. He's really good. And it's nice that he's racing here with the big boys today. But yeah, he looped it. He was actually in the wall right at the same time that yellow came out. So he came in, probably got a fresh car.
I was wondering if that was the case, if he just had to come in at that moment. Usually the pits are closed, so I guess there was nothing for him to lose at that point to be sent to the back of the line. So the order as they come out now. Ryan Otis in first, Jason Fleischle in second, Smitty is in third, and Christian Steele is in fourth. Well, we've had a little bit of time. Bill, did you want to run through points since we got the lap?
Let's talk about the Texas Club. Now there's no wins here, but plenty of top fives for these drivers heading up the chart. Alan Hasebeck has a 22-point lead on Chris Pence. Both drivers own 2 top fives. James Wyckoff holds down third. Now, he's not here today, and we wish him the best. An impressive sportsman, we just talked about him, Mike Franklin, sits fourth, just 2 points out of third place. And then Ethan Moore fills out the top 5.
That's how Texas sits in the club points. We've only got one more to go, so maybe we'll wait a little while if we get a caution right away before we go for that one. Now, I'm seeing a car ahead of Ryan Otis. That is Mark Jubinski, but he's scored behind him. So, I'm not sure what's going on here. They should get a wave by, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Jubinski currently is scored in 25th position.
Got a number of cars. Ray Partridge, Adam Young, Steve Paulison, and Mark Jubinski all ahead of our leader here.
We'll have to see if maybe timing and scoring, maybe they stayed out and it hasn't caught up yet. But I think they've all done a lap. We'll see. Otherwise, I guess...
My timing and scoring should be live.
That's right.
Unfortunately, sounds like David Williams got a flag for passing under the yellow. He's seeing if he can get that cleared or if they're going to have to force him to...
That's going to be a hard sell. They don't like to do that too much here. Otherwise, everybody starts saying, "Oh, I got a black flag."
Yeah. Oh, it was a total accident, I swear. We have some unfortunate news for those who are IndyCar fans, and I'm assuming there are a fair few of you out there. We're seeing our wave bys now. For those who were watching the Pocono race in real life, Justin Wilson is unfortunately in a coma right now after his accident in that race. So we wish Justin Wilson the best and hope for a speedy recovery for him. Lights are off on the pace car, so we should go back to green this time by.
Those wave rounds are going to have to hustle.
Yeah, they might just about catch them in time. They're coming to the stretch now. The pace car is, I mean. And yeah, they are going to catch them because they are coming out of turn 2 at the moment. So our our back markers should be right up to the tail of the field without having to hustle here.
So we'll keep an eye on David Williams. We'll see if he actually has to come in. He's currently sitting in 22nd position. We'll see if that black flag, I believe they have to serve that under green.
That's correct.
He has been quite the show. He has really been started in the back, worked his way up to 17th.
He's very competitive in nature. He's going to want to try and use this restart to get back up, but it's going to be Ryan Otis that's going to lead the way. He's led 15 laps so far. He's going to add one more to his belt as the pace car peels off. Otis accelerates away. Fleischle trying to hold on to the back of him. Looks like we've got everybody in back, cleanly away, and David Williams right away ducks into the pit lane to try and serve this black flag.
He might be able to stop and go and get out at the same time.
And it's going to be oh so close. This is a momentum track, so he's going to still be down on speed compared to these guys for quite a while. Up front, Jason Fleischle all over the back with Ryan Otis not letting him get away. I have a feeling we're going to be in for 500 miles of this sort of battling, even up front. And there goes David Williams. You just could see him at the bottom of the screen. So he is definitely going a lap down, unfortunately for him.
Well, thanks to our wonderful sponsor, he'll have a chance to get that lap back.
He's another driver that's going to be hoping for that lucky dog, for a caution to come by. Fleischle still holding on to the back, hasn't made an attempt for a pass yet. Smitty just behind them. Not threatening, but he closes up, coming down into turn one. Fleischle took a little bit of a peek. Nothing doing at this point. And Carl Burke is not happy with someone who is currently sitting. Where is he actually at the moment? Oh, he's
Carl Burke sitting in 7th.
He's got some very fierce words for Chris Pence, who he's battling with. Let's jump to that. There we can see him.
Oh,
and we've got a caution.
Looks like Alan Hess.
Hacebeck, yeah. Oh, and he collects another car.
Oh, was that Williams? Oh, that was Williams, who was a lap down at the time. That, they were just seeing it on replay. That was coming out of 4. Hard hit for Hacebeck. And David Williams might have gotten a little bit of damage. I'm not entirely sure. Did he collect anybody else? Let's watch that replay one more time. Cars absolutely scattered to avoid him. Oh, he just got into Mike Franklin. A bad day for Franklin. I think Gelder might have had a bit of contact as well. We were watching on board with Williams.
Gelder.
And he kind of sticks his nose in there. Didn't have a whole lot of room. That was an awkward situation for Williams. Let's see if we can see from the point of view of Matt Gelder. Pulling up that replay one more time here. We are now on the roll hoop of Gelder. We're going to see that smoke start to erupt. This has got to be scary, James. You just see nothing but smoke ahead of you. Not sure what's happening.
It's, hope that you find the right line. If you're able to see anything, try and guess where you think the cars are going to go, but it's just a prediction. You can only... It's not like you can just slam on the brakes when you get into these corners, too. The car's going to come around, and you're going to be, in trouble that way, too. So you kind of have to be very cautious trying to slow down to get around a wreck. But pick a line and hopefully you picked right.
Well, cars are now heading into the pits. We've got Redeker and Chubinski heading in there. Thankfully, we could see on the replay that Gelder just managed to miss any sort of contact, so I think he was through clean.
I took a long look at that incident between Williams and Hacebeck there, and it's a tough call. Williams maybe might have drifted up a little bit. Certainly Hacebeck didn't give him any extra room, so sometimes that just happens.
Yeah, it was And we're hearing that James Paulson, or was it Paulson or Paulson? Paulson, excuse me. Paulson and Lionel Kalisto have DNF'd, so they are now out of the race. The counter-argument that you can make with Williams, Bill, is that with him being a lap down, and I think he's the lead car a lap down, he really just maybe should have been patient and know that the second they get a caution, he's coming back onto the lead lap, so he has no need to fight these cars that are a lap ahead of him.
I believe he's ex-Marine. I'm not sure if patience is really in their repertoire.
Well, he's going to have to learn it with 500 miles around this track, that's for sure. He was one of the drivers who did the 600-miler at Charlotte Speedway earlier in the season, so he certainly knows how to do it and get to the end. I believe he made it to the end on that one. But right now, Williams still sitting in 24th. He should still get that lucky dog. He's still the lead lapped car.
Even though
Allen was...
because of the, I think with the spin, I don't think maybe he is the lead lap car anymore, is he? Williams is. That's good. He caused that yellow flag. He'll get that. I don't think iRacing is going to hold him back for that.
A couple other lapped cars now coming in for their stops. Henry Clark, Mike Franklin, Ray Partridge, Adam Young, Steve Paulson, it looks like. So, handful of lapped cars heading in for their stops.
Well, I'm sorry that James Paulson is not going to finish the race, but it makes my life a little easier now, so I can scratch his name off of there. Following up on Williams, he's really had an eventful race. He's banged that car around a lot. I still think he's on his first car.
Yeah, he hasn't come in yet. He's letting the rest of the field by, so he's not getting the wave around yet. Mike Franklin was the next car a lap down, and he went in for stops. We're looking on board, and we can see some serious damage on the front wing of David Williams, so he's going to want his car eventually, I would think, Bill.
I think he's saying, damage schmamage. I'm staying out here till my car can't run. Then I'll get a new one. It is only lap 48. We're still 1/5 of the way there.
I don't know if I can really blame him, though, because if you're able to hold off on that fast repair, if the car isn't driving that terrible, make sure you have that tucked away there, that fast repair for later in the race.
Yeah, I guess the bottom line is just how is the car. It's not what the damage looks like. I mean, it doesn't matter how she looks, it matters how she drives. So
well, maybe you don't want to be doing racing inches away from other people, though.
This is true. It doesn't look like he's getting the Tyee Kennels lucky dog, unfortunately, so at least he hasn't been given it yet. Well,
let's do our last. We have time to do our last one. Then I can throw this paper away here. Let's look at the Outlaw Award. This is for Joe Peak's division. They're the West. Who's in the West, Joe? What states are? Is this New Mexico and Utah and all those guys, and Arizona?
Utah, Arizona, Colorado.
Okay,
I want to say Wyoming is in there.
Well, I know that Rob Gall lives there. He's way out in front. Now, David Williams, there you go. He's from the West as well. He sits 70 points back in second place. Jason Fleischle has the potential to climb up the charts, but currently sits third. And Tom Dwelling and Jack Johnson are taking advantage of a pretty thin field to round out the top 5. And those are all of your club champions.
And reserve your... There goes Bill's paper. Reserve your Jack Johnson jokes for later. I'm sure he's heard a million of them. But the lights are off, if I'm not mistaken, and Ryan Otis is going to lead the way once again. This is becoming a familiar theme. He's led 23 of the laps. He accelerates right away this time. Ryan is not waiting around. So let's get back to green racing.
Lap 50.
And Henry Clark is... Ooh. Something happened to Henry Clark. Oh, he ran into the back of Ryan Bird and then into the wall. He is immediately into the pits.
Still green.
Bad news for him, and a pass for the lead is coming. Jason Fleischle
back up into the lead. He has led the most lap, and he's going to add to the tally. In fact, our top three have already broken away from Christian Steele.
James, with the exception of what happened to Clark there, these restarts are getting more and more and more laid back. They're stringing out much better each time.
I think they're finally starting to learn a thing or two. And so it's also kind of interesting too how you're seeing people kind of restart. You see a lot of people, which I think is probably the smart move, is starting there right up close to that wall, because on a single file restart you can pass on the high side just so long the green flag is out. But it was interesting there because we had Otis start there kind of towards the middle of the track, but I guess when you can dictate the start, you have a little bit more leeway and trying to get the shorter way around the track.
And I definitely think Otis and Fleischle are working in tandem here. They've been swapping first place for a couple laps here. Fleischle's going back to the lead. Meanwhile, behind them, Smitty just kind of holding station in third, not really attempting to get into that transition that they keep making. So maybe he's pulling the whole save fuel idea here, sitting back there. We are on board with Smitty at the moment, Bill.
Yeah, and Lionel Little Train Kalisto was running slow. Still out there, though. Yeah, Smitty's doing a good job.
Remember, he was our winner in the 600-miler. So Smitty knows how to get up to the front, especially towards the end of a race, and try and win it. We'll see what he does when it gets towards the latter stages here at Auto Club. In the meantime, Fleischle is not giving up the lead this time by. Otis is going to try and get a run on the outside. And now we've got Smitty coming into the mix, almost looking at 3 wide, but gets out of it. Fleischle continues to hold on to P1. Ryan Otis sitting behind him. Fleischle moving down to the inside. I don't think he wants to do this tandem thing anymore. He's not letting him take the inside.
No, some good racing up front, though.
We are 55 laps into this race. Still a long, long way to go out here. We've had 4 different cautions already. Oh, and Carl Burke is upset about something over the radio.
You know, we were joking earlier to expect too much, you know. I think that we were all kind of spoiled with probably the most intense and insane IndyCar race that anyone has ever seen earlier this year with the real Mad TV 500, but we're seeing quite a good show so far.
Well, James, I'll tell you, I think if these guys wanted to, I think they could put on the same show. Because what I'm seeing up front from Otis and Fleischle and Smith is just what I saw before. And if Pence and Steele want to get up there, I think this could go on forever.
Well, we've had another lead change. You can see Otis and the Cannon machine is back up to the front. Smitty's trying to put himself into P2, and he does it down into turn 3. Now, in the meantime, we've had a bit of a battle going on between Carl Burke and Jason Pitts. We've almost got a Senna and Prost-esque battle going on here, because these guys are not friends, judging by the words they've been sharing.
It's been a racing battle and a verbal battle.
Pitts has been holding on to that inside line, not letting Carl Burke get into 6th place. And Burke has just been trying and not been able to carry that speed. Oh, here he goes, down to the inside. Is he going to have it this time? Now we've got Burke into 6th.
So it's Otis, Smith, Fleischle, Pence, Steele, and then the battle back there between Burke and Pitts, which is still going on.
Yeah, Burke holding the inside. He doesn't want to give it up now that he's got it. And look at the momentum coming from Pitts, but we've jumped back to 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th here. Here we can see Doyle, Lawrence in a nice battle. Wow, a lot of dicing going on as they head down the backstretch into 3. That's Sam Boren up at the front of them right now, leading Chris Beck.
I heard somebody in the wall, but I couldn't find it, so I guess it's okay.
And among these drivers, I should note, you can see that green and white machine. That is Nick Hunt, the number 04. After having that early tap, You talk about a great recovery drive. He has just done a great job of getting his head down and getting himself in the top 15. Now, there's a lot of chatter going on between drivers out there, and that's one thing I've noticed, James, is the difference between road and the oval guys. It seems like you guys are a little bit more free with the radio to each other.
Yeah, it's funny. You get on the road course, and everyone's really silent. And if you are caught talking, they're gonna let you know, because the people will definitely let you know if they don't want you talking. And on the oval, it's like you can't shut these guys up. So it's you definitely have a lot more time, because of the steering wheel is definitely not being turned nearly to the level that it will on a road course. So you have a little bit more room to have some interesting conversations, and we're definitely hearing some very not always nice chatter out there, but you definitely know exactly what's on the driver's mind.
Not all of it has been negative. There's been some communication, some I'm going high, I'm going low. So it's a mixture of anger and cooperation.
We are on board with Smitty, now currently sitting in second since he has overtaken it from Fleischle. And we should note, Christian Steele, who was up in the battle for the top 3 early on and then dropped, has now caught up to our top 4. And in fact, it's not far behind for Chris Pence either, so we could have a top 5 here very soon. So now we jump back to 6th, 7th, and 8th. We saw this a little bit earlier. Arl Burke still trying to get by Jason Pitts as he has gotten back past Burke.
Yeah, I'm not getting a good feeling from those two guys.
Just behind them, we've got Rob Gall and Brian Barnes as well, who are side by side for a moment. Gall comes out on top of those two.
If I were the crew chief to Gall and Barnes, I'd say, be careful, boys. Keep an eye on those guys ahead of you, because Burke and Gall have Pitts and Burke have really been going at it.
Just leave them a little bit of space in case something erupts, but now we jump back to 17th, 18th, and 19th. That is Chad Barker, Drew Lalonde, and Mark Redeker. We saw Lalonde and the Gen 6 car at the Coca-Cola 600 up at the front, challenging for the win towards the end, but he has just not been anywhere near as competitive in this race. Currently sitting in 18th, and now he's going to slip back to 19th as Redeker slips to the inside. Could be
Looks
that
like Lionel Callisto has joined back on the track. He's running the laps down. Probably not going to be contending for a win today, but maybe he could pick up some spots here if the attrition starts to raise up here a little bit.
if we're going to add to that California Club points if he can help it. So guessing that Lalonde is not as well suited here to these Indy cars. Let's jump to Steve Paulson in the meantime. And remember, we had some contact before. We can see two cars on screen that initiated it. That was Alan Hesbeck, who's currently going around the outside of David Williams.
Now those guys are battling. They're actually one lap down, and they're not battling for the lucky dog. That actually belongs to Ray Partridge, who's about maybe 10 seconds ahead of these guys.
Let's see how Williams and Hesbeck behave themselves. They've got a bit of traffic just behind them, Mike Franklin and Steve Paulson as well. Hesbeck really trying to round that outside.
Trying to look at Williams' car. Yeah, it's a little, his front wing is a little bit, he's got an interesting arrow set up there on that front wing. He still has not brought that car in, so it can't be fun to drive.
Not Delara approved, I'm sure.
Maybe.
We had a car in the apron. I'm not sure who that was. That was Adam Young. In fact, he's
put it
to
in
a
the
halt,
wall.
maybe.
He's kissed the wall outside of turn 4.
Let's see if we can get a replay of that.
Just got loose, almost like he got up in the gray stuff, if there was gray stuff.
Which might be coming soon, actually, to iRacing.
Coming off of 4 is really tight here. It kind of sneaks up on you. It kind of jumps out there at the very end, and you think that you're going to be running the proper line, and then before you're too late, well, then there you see, you're easily in it.
Looking at the replay right now, on board with Adam Young, just washing up the track and just getting the tires into that blue outside wall. He is now into his pit stall.
That's a sickening feeling, James, when that happens and you're going and you're trying to lift and don't get me up there, and you get up there.
Meanwhile, back up at the front, look at the gap between Otis and Smitty, 7/10, and Smitty's actually got Steele all over the back of him.
Yeah, it's hard to say what's going on there. Those two guys, Smith and Steele, well, certainly Smith maybe turned the wick down a little bit.
Remember, Otis was on pole, so we know he has got really good long stint runs. Meanwhile, Steele now finally up into that second position. I'm wondering if this is the break that Otis needs to try and get himself a little breathing room and be able to just run his laps.
Yeah, maybe James can take a look up there at the leader. I'm not sure if those guys running in second and third are close enough to get a tow now. You might be right, Joe. Otis may be able to.
And we have a caution.
Yeah.
It was Alan Hayesbeck and David Williams. And well, it was almost a reverse situation here. We were going to look at it coming through 1 and 2. Yeah, you can see Hayesbeck just washed up the track, and poor David Williams had no idea that it was going to happen. Bumped into the back of him, and that sent him into the outer wall.
Okay, the Marine is going to have to bring that yellow car in for a new one now. It cannot take any more damage.
He actually took a tow, it looks like. We're watching that replay one more time. You can see, that was probably not intentional. Hayesbeck just didn't expect the cars in front to come down and cross him, and he could not hold the low line.
You could definitely disrupt the car behind you by cutting down in front of them, and you can tell he just lost the nose, and you got to get out of it, and you're going to run up the track, and if the person behind is not paying attention, well, you saw what happened there.
And remember, the front of that Williams car probably wasn't feeling all that good anyway with that wing damage.
Well, this means that Ray Partridge is going to be our Tyee Kennels lucky dog. So he's going to get back onto the lead lap and still be in 23rd position, probably, but at least he'll have a chance to try and maybe get back into this race.
Kind of more the lucky bird, wouldn't it be?
I don't see any pear trees around here, unfortunately. We apparently did not get approval from our director on that one. We do have pit stops going on. Pretty much everybody up at the front is down and in on lap 73.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any interesting strategies come from this one with the lap that we're on, but you definitely want to get those 4 fresh tires and definitely fill it up with full fuel. Oh, and we look like...
Otis and Steele both missed their pit stall. So is that going to give it to Fleischle? No, it's going to give it to Smitty. Smitty is out first.
It was the two that you thought, though. Smitty and Fleischle. And then the guys who overshot their pit stall are going to pay the price with Otis and Steele.
Order now that they are out of their pit stalls. Smitty in first, Fleischle in second. Otis manages to salvage it in third, Steele in fourth. And Chris Pence, we haven't talked about him a whole bunch.
Very quiet.
Yeah.
Very quiet. Sleeping back there in 5th place.
We're on lap 74 now. Still not even halfway into this 500-mile race. This, I believe, is caution number 5. We are going to take just a quick break here while we let this caution play itself out. Then we will come back here at Auto Club Speedway for the MAVTV 500 in the Pacific Majors. Welcome back. Pace lights are off here in the 5th caution here at Auto Club Speedway. And Michael Smitty Smith leads for the first time in this race. Has been running fantastic strategy, biding his time, and has finally moved up to the top after pit stops. He's followed by Jason Fleischle and then Ryan Otis sitting in 3rd. It's been a lot of action out on track. And we're going to take the restart here. We have David Williams waiting in the wings for an interview. We're going to see if any action unfolds, try to let it settle down, and then we'll talk to David about his eventful, to put it lightly, race today out there at this California Speedway. We're going to go on board with Smitty for the restart. Looking back, you can't see it, but the pace car is going to peel in now. So Smitty is in charge, in control. And now he accelerates away. You can see him start to leave. Jason in the dust. Otis following suit as well. Christian Steele very close to him. Oh, we've got a lot of cars bunching up in the back there.
Yeah, back there, Jason Pitts in a big mess. It's Hutchinson, Pitts back there in 6th and 7th.
Carl Burke, and they're starting to get single file though. And look at this though, Nick Hunt up to 11th with a great run coming up.
And here comes Doyle Lawrence flying.
Doyle Lawrence and Brian Barnes. Barnes is going to get one more position, and he is up into, Nick Hunt was who I was talking about, getting one more position, up into 10th now. Top 10, and there's a lead change with Jason Fleischle up to the front. Let's see if this plays itself out. Then we'll try and talk to David in a moment, because now we've got Smitty coming back on the outside. Not able to do it looks like. So Fleischle led 12 laps, I'm seeing. Otis has the most at 43 at the moment. And look at the battle behind them. Let's go back to 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Otis around the outside of Christian Steele for 3rd place. Beautiful job there. And just behind him is Chris Pence, who we mentioned just before the break, has been slowly and silently working his way up to the top. Currently sitting in 5th, now stalking behind Steele. He's going to have a bit of a run, but not enough of one.
We'll see what Pence. I'm not sure Pence wants any part of that. I think he's been happy to run back here in 5th place. I think he has the legs to run with the guys if he wants to, as we have pretty much a 5-car breakaway now till we get back to that chaos of Hutchinson and Pitts. They're going at it again. Pitts making a move now, trying to get into 6th place, and he does, with Hutchinson on the outside. And of course, part of that is Carl Burke's been in that mess too. Nick Hunt back there as well.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of side-by-side racing going on here from 6th, 7th, and 8th. Whoa, bit of a moment from Hutchison. Thought he could dive to the inside, but no room there. And that's going to allow Carl Burke to get right on by as they work their way down the backstretch. So Burke now up into 7th. Meanwhile, pass for the lead as Jason Fleischle and Michael Smith side by side. Ryan Otis pulls up behind them, thinks about 3 wide, but backs out of it. Top 5 are all together, still side by side for the lead as Smitty continues to fight. Does not have the pace, and he has to give it up. We're going to jump on board Steele here. Looks like he's having a bit of connection problems. I've noticed he's been blinking in and out slightly. These top 5, there is just nothing between them. Half a second between all of these cars. Here comes Smitty once again, looking to the outside. Otis once more, just trying to hold back, seeing how this plays out between them. Steele is definitely lifting, just waiting patiently behind these 3. Smitty now side by side down the backstretch along with Fleischle.
Oh my goodness.
We're only 83 laps into a 250 lap race.
I think James and I are going to eat our words, because what we're seeing looks exactly like what we saw in real world Fontana up here with these 5 guys.
I can't believe the way that some of these guys are running out here. Do they realize that we're not even close to halfway?
And some of these guys are experienced oval racers. Ryan Otis was a competitor at the top in the 500 in this series. So he knows how to run these long races, although he hasn't really been getting up into the mix between these guys. Now he has to stay low to try and keep from getting into Christian Steele, who's going to move into that 3rd place if he can keep that pace up. And he's got it.
I think, James, the guy who does understand is Chris Pence. I think he's pensive to get up there with those guys. He's sitting back and biding his time, waiting for the right time, and he says it's not now, not on lap 85.
If I was him, I would probably be enjoying the view, watching some good racing going on in front of me, and I would be saving fuel. This is the type of racetrack where fuel can make a big difference.
I think this little battle in the top 5 is going to go on for a while and continue to swap places, so we're going to hold on this, but while it's going on, let's bring in David Williams and ask him a little bit about this race, but at the same time, keep an eye on this battle. We've got David Williams in the booth with us. David, do you copy?
Yeah, I hear you guys.
David, you had a lot of action going on in your race. Are you surprised at how fiercely guys were battling this early on?
I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but it's definitely hectic out there, man. Cars everywhere. I hear my spotter inside, outside, 3 wide, inside, 3 wide, just all over the place. Just got my head on a swivel trying to stay in my lane. It's interesting.
Now, in the incident with Hayspec, when you guys first came together the first time, you just trying to work your way forward and try and hope for the lucky dog, or what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, it's, if it had been the last laps of the race, I would have definitely just backed off and let those guys have at it. But, we're 40 laps into a 200-lap race, and I got left down, unfortunately, because of that yellow flag, passenger yellow flag, black flag. So I'm sure you guys saw I had to serve that penalty. Anyway, yeah, so I'm like, I've got to get that lucky dog. I got to get back on the lead lap. I know I got a fast car, but I can't do anything if I'm a lap down. So, from that point, it was just, I tried to hold my line. I was like, okay, maybe he's not coming down. Maybe he's not coming down. And he's coming down.
And we had a pass for the lead. Ryan Otis just overtook Fleischle and actually chopped down across him. Definitely caused him to wash up, and he's going to even lose 2nd place. Oh, and we've got a big wreck. Christian Steele and Jason Fleischle across the infield.
Oh.
6th caution of the day. We're going to look at that replay. Thanks for coming and talking to us, David. Obviously, we've got to come and look at what's going on here on track now.
All right, gentlemen, take care.
Oh, and Ryan Bird got caught up in it as well. It looked like everyone was going to get by. A couple drivers more. People were checking up, couldn't get out of the way.
I think Christian Steele got a little upset when he got down on that apron. That caused him to wiggle, and then we saw what happened.
I'm trying to look. Looks like he didn't actually touch the apron. He was very close to it, but he got very close. And remember, we talked just in the first opening laps about how these cars can have netcode problems. You mentioned that, James. So we just saw Ryan Bird's incident in this. I wonder if that might have had something to play with it, that maybe they just touched when they didn't actually, and that unsettled the car?
That could very well be the case too. I mean, that's one of those situations when you're going straight like that, you're not used to seeing, kind of dumb moves, and so I think that was probably what was going on, because everyone typically has a pretty good idea, at least when you're going straight. So I think that was either a misjudge or a misjudge from the server.
We are going to look on board from Christian Steele, see what he saw. Maybe if it looks like there's a little bit of contact here. Oh, no, not to cause that wiggle. Looks like it maybe was just a disappearing gap from Christian's point of view. That was about, I want to say, the biggest wreck, or at least the most exciting wreck we've seen between these guys today.
poor Chad Barker, he saw the thing, it was the second incident there. He saw the problems, he got it slowed up, it happened so many times. And then Chris, it was Bird, I can't remember Bird's first, Ryan Bird, couldn't get a vote up in time and he got into the back of him.
Yeah, we saw that on the replay. Looking at it one more time, on his roll hoop, Christian Steele's black and white machine, just along for the ride there. And the drivers did a good job of avoiding him once he had skittered back up into turn one there.
You know, I think back to something I might have heard in the pre-race. They were talking about the white line there. I wonder if there's a rule against passing below that white line, and Christian Steele got close to there, thought better of it, and too late at that point.
That's a good point. I do remember hearing a little bit of chatter about that as well. I think that could have been our culprit then. So the order now that we've lost, unfortunately, two of our front runners, although they will be back out with their spare cars. Ryan Otis is leading. Smitty still in second, been really hovering around these top guys almost the whole race. Wayne Hutchison into third. He was dropping back a little bit earlier on and has worked his way back up. And Carl Burke now up into fourth. And look at this recovery drive of the day for me. Nick Hunt into fifth.
He doesn't have a bullet left in the chamber. He's used his free car, I believe. So.
Did he take a free car? He didn't hit anything when he went down.
That's true. That's right.
We don't know if he has or he hasn't. So, 92, almost hitting the century mark. Getting closer and closer to halfway in this race. Certainly been, I think we're safe to call this a bit of a caution fest, James.
Yeah, we've had a lot, and there's been a lot of chatter going down. When you have, one thing that's unique to this track is that when you do have an accident down there, you do have the pit exit cone that's pretty close to the racing surface, and so you saw everyone scattering down there. Looks like a lot of people got black flags, but the admins are being gracious and helping out those people that were trying to avoid that wreck that did get black flagged from the bad location of that exit cone.
Looks like we're getting some information from the stewards about the line. There's no rule about the underneath the white line. The driver above it, though, doesn't have to let the driver below back on. So...
or what's going to happen then?
Well, I mean, they come in contact, obviously.
Okay, well...
According to physics, if iRacing...
That's how that works. I guess you could be dead right. I guess, nope, not letting you back up.
Yeah, well, I don't know why you would play that game, though. That seems, especially this early on.
So, Chris Pence, we talked about it. He sat back. James talked about it, said, enjoy the view, saw the action, sitting back in 7th place. I think that's right where he likes to be.
Although he was farther down, the lights are off on the pace car, so we're going to go green this time by. Remember, he was sitting in 5th, and he's in 7th right now, so he must have had to lift.
Slow pit stop.
Oh, did they take stops, actually? Did we miss that?
Yeah, he came in.
I think Kyle Murphy just got the grasp of how long this race actually is when he pointed out that they aren't even 100 laps in yet.
Starting to dawn on them. It's almost like, if for our road racing fans, it's almost like seeing the sunrise at Le Mans and realizing you have hours and hours left to go, actually. It's not even close.
Well, it's definitely a very interesting... We don't do, as iRacers, most of the time we're in these short races. Probably the longest that we'll be in is maybe around 40 minutes to an hour if it's really going to last a long time. And now we're going in, we're doing a full 500-mile race. I mean, there's a lot of things to think about. I mean, you have to be prepared, and you have to be... you have to be alert for a lot longer, and I think a lot of these guys are used to these sprint races, and here we are in an endurance series, and but the cream will rise to the top, I believe.
I don't doubt that. It has pretty much every time that we are watching races here in the Pacific Majors. Pace car is now off. Ryan Otis accelerates away. Gets a nice jump over Smitty, but I'm sure that crash is going to bring him back in. Let's see what Wayne Hutchison can do now that he's up with the top cars. Same thing with Colin Burke. These are top drivers in the championship. So they are going to want to have a good finish around here. It's a long way to go, but now they have been able to get out of the way of most of the action in the mid-pack.
Fleischmann wasting no time trying to get back up to the front. He made a great move there on the outside.
He's actually sitting in 20th right now, moving up close to the back of Matt Gelder. And is going to have to back out of it, unfortunately. This is going to be interesting times for Fleischle now that he's in the thick of it. Let's see how he can handle really being around a lot of cars and cars that aren't on pace with him. You can see on your screen just how many he has to deal with. Poor Matt Gelder has Ryan Byrne ahead of him and nowhere to go, so he's going to lose some pace. Meanwhile, we're going to stay on this. Otis is still leading. Smitty still in second, about 3 tenths back, and Hutchinson about 2 more tenths back, still in third. Here goes Matt Gelder looking to the inside of Bird. Fleischle's progress seems to have been halted a bit, though. He's not really making any inroads in the last lap or two.
That battle lets up. There's a guy I want to maybe get a little screen time to, and that's Doyle Lawrence, currently running in 7th place. He's been really, really careful back there, doing a great job.
Wasn't he actually a lap down at one point?
Yeah, he's really been great. Now he's in a battle with Pence and Hunt, and they're just kind of sitting back there. We've seen him do great. Now Pitts is in there, and then another guy that we haven't talked much about, Drew Lalonde, is running in 9th position.
He's making me eat my words. I said that he was looking not as good here in these Indy cars, and now he's up in the top 10. So something has happened that allowed him to move up quite a few positions over the last green flag run, or maybe during the caution pickups.
Yeah, we really have 4 cars out in front. Then we have that 5-car battle that I was just talking about, who are kind of mixing it up right now. They've been behaving now. They're kind of getting fancy. And then it gets back a little bit to 10th and 11th is Gall and Beck. So things are settling
There's
down
someone
a bit,
against
James.
the wall.
That was Doyle Lawrence.
I jinxed him again. I'm not going to talk about anybody.
And I'm trying to see where that was. Might have been out of turn 2. I'm not sure if he actually touched the wall. He was just telling him he was staying high.
Yeah, I don't think he got in the wall.
Doesn't look like it. Currently, Doyle Lawrence still sitting in 7th, just behind Nick Hunt. In fact, he's got a great run on him coming down the backstretch. There he goes, going to work his way into 6th now. In fact, Hunt is going to lose 2 positions potentially, with Pitts looking on the inside. Pitts not able to really hold it. He dipped his tires well below that white line. Now, I know on some oval tracks, whoa, as Pitts almost makes contact with Drew Lalonde as we just get over lap 100. James, I know that on some tracks you really don't want to dip below that white line or yellow line in some cases. What is it like here with the DW12?
I think longer on in a run, you do not want to get below that white line. I don't think that it really upsets the car like it does in some tracks because the transition from the racetrack to the apron isn't as severe, but it definitely slows you down, and it's going to, you're definitely going to have to lift after you hit it. So that's definitely something, unless you're on the front, you're going to want to avoid that apron.
We've switched back to 16th, looking at Ray Partridge, has lost ground, and now he's going to lose out to Jason Fleischle, still working his way up. Fleischle has the inside down the backstretch. I'm assuming this is going to be easy enough for him. He loses ground, though, interestingly. That was odd after he had such a great run. Now that he's got the inside, though, now it looks like he's got that 16th position.
If I were Partridge, I'd tuck him behind Fleischle and let him take me to the front. Fleischle is going somewhere.
Well, he doesn't have any room now. Unfortunately, he waited too long because now Ray Partridge has Christian Steele, the other driver, working his way through. So maybe he can hold on to the back of Steele now. There he goes, slots in the line.
Now, meanwhile, you can stay on that, but meanwhile, Otis has This is checking out. He's got over a second lead now on Michael Smith. And this is what we saw before, where we were wondering if maybe Otis could break the draft and get out there and get a little distance, have a little peace and quiet.
He's certainly doing it right now. I'm wondering if he is going to be able to take these green flag runs and run away from it. He's been great on restarts. Essentially, all he has to do is try and keep breaking this draft anytime they have a caution. Because this is the second time we've seen it now, is it?
Yeah. I would say he's...
And that is...
Go ahead, James.
That is the time frame where you do break that draft. And surprisingly, you can actually run a little bit quicker on Otter tires by yourself. That push in the corners is very, very significant, to where it's around the better part of a second. You're going to start seeing the person in front kind of pull away and separate themselves, because the person second, and Michael Smith right now, is not getting that assistance from Otis, and Otis is going to be checking out.
He is checking out. He's put another 2/10 on it since we brought up the subject. So, yeah, he's going. Check his luggage for stolen towels, because he is checking out.
Meanwhile, Fleischle, actually we're looking at Paulison sitting at 20th. Fleischle is now up into 14th as he overtakes Mark Redeker.
One thing is also interesting too, is this being an open setup, is these cars do have in-car adjustments on there. You can play with the fuel mapping on there. You can play with the weight jacker. You can actually free the car up or tighten it as you get into the run. As that fuel starts to burn off, you want to mess with that weight jacker and get the car to turn a little bit better into the corners. Careful not to overdo it though and get loose coming off. But that's also something interesting too for a lot of these guys, especially if you're a stock car guy. You're not used to the in-car adjustments, so that's also something too that you need to be playing with, as well as when you come in for a pit stop. You got to remember to reset that weight jacker, because you do not want to enter that first turn with the weight jacker after it has been moved at the end of a run.
Guys, I'm getting a bad feeling back here, 15th position with Christian Steele, Ryan Bird, Redeker, Partridge. These guys are getting a little bit cranky back here. Henry Clark running in 27th position, a lap down, but
Certainly been some dicey racing going on for just a moment, but I think that was because of Steele and Fleischle working their way through. In fact, Fleischle is really starting to stretch a gap ahead of Steele.
He is going. We talked about trying to stay on his coattails. Well, I think those coattails are out the door.
Certainly are. Ryan Bird had a terrible run coming through 3 and 4, and that's allowed Mark Redeker to work his way up into 16th. Meanwhile, Harry Ford sitting in 13th that we're watching. He is trying to get on the back of Sam Boren.
Now Ford has about oh chief, Fleischle is just chewing up the, here comes Fleischle. Oh, he's knocking off, I was going to tell you how far it is, but I couldn't get the time out of my mouth by the time. He's knocking off tenths of a second every syllable.
We're on board with Ford. We're hearing Bird say that Mark Redeker is flashing. That's not something that's never fun, especially in close oval racing. And unfortunately, it looks like Ford was not able to stay on the back of Boren.
And here comes Jason Fleischle. Going to look to the outside. What are you going to do it, Jason? Outside, inside?
And here as we ride on board with Fleischle, now we see Ford able to finally execute the move just ahead of us. It's going to cause Boren to wash up the track just a little bit. Now he's got the draft, though, and he gets out of it. Fleischle with a huge run coming up on the back of him. Is he going to take 2 and 1?
1 and 2.
Wow.
Wow, power move.
No hesitation whatsoever from Jason Fleischle. Now up into 12th. What was the restart lap, actually? I'm trying to remember. He started, I think, as far down as 23rd.
He's about on lap 94, 93, 94.
So we're only about
94,
14 laps in. Oh, but look at this. Fleischle has someone who's not just going to roll over for him, because Larry Ford has gone on past. second up to the next car up. So I don't think Fleischle is going to want to dilly-dally too long here trying to battle with Ford.
Stay on that battle, but Otis has now opened it up to almost 2 seconds. It's really stretching out in the front, actually. It's Otis has a 2-second lead. Smith almost with a 2-second lead over Hutchinson. Hutchinson with a half-second lead over Burke, and then back to Pence in 5th.
I'm wondering if Fleischle is going to get a little frustrated here with Ford, knowing that he's faster. Ford is once again trying to fight back around the outside.
Yeah, this is, you know, sometimes it's fun to play hide and seek in an IKEA store, but sometimes it's not a good idea. Just, you got to sometimes sacrifice fun for what's smart here. Let Fleischle take you up there.
And this time, Ford gets out of it. He's letting Fleischle lead the way. And here he comes back around the outside once again as Fleischle goes defensive down into turn 1. I'm sure Fleischle is not in the mood to keep swapping positions. Thankfully for him, they have been catching Chris Beck.
Yeah, they are.
Chris Beck is actually battling with Rob Gall and Doyle Lawrence. That is up in 11th.
Car in the wall.
Here we go,
Oh,
car on the
coming down
wall.
on
Oh, he's
pit
going to go
road.
down pit lane about 100 miles an hour.
That's Drew Lalonde. Just clipped the outside wall, sent him steering to the inside. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a speeding penalty.
They have to serve some time in the local clink for that one.
Good thing there aren't actual people down there, because that would have been something to see a car coming down the pit lane at all of, let's see how fast he was going. We're going to look at it one more time.
140.
Now, there is no yellow, so that's really unfortunate for him.
And he is in his stall right now. He might have gotten some damage from that contact, because he's been sitting there for a while.
I guess he's already taken
Oh,
his free repair then.
And he's actually not going to get a black flag here. Looks like the marshals have decided they're not going to punish him for something that wasn't his fault.
He was stuck on pit road from the black flag. That makes sense.
So we've switched to Rob Gall sitting in 9th. And actually, we've gone to Chris Beck, excuse me. He is in 12th. He is in a gaggle of cars, just behind Christian Steele, who's had trouble holding on to the back of Fleischle. And, oof, close moments there for Beck and Ford. Ford almost getting chopped off. And just behind them, San Boren as well. This is for 12th, 13th, and 14th between these three.
Yeah, the guy on the move is Jason Fleischle. He's going to... So I hear somebody else in the wall here? Yeah, it's Nick Hunt. Oh, Nick Hunt takes on the outside, turns it
Hard
over, he
on the
rolls it
outside.
over. Rolling a barrel rolling down the grass.
We're looking at the replay of Nick Hunt coming through 3 and 4. The cool machine just washing up, almost identical to what we saw before, except he stayed to the outside wall and then the car spun to the inside, it looks like. And I'm sure he did not want to tap L or R twice to do a barrel roll.
Well, I guess because he was so far off the track, no yellow flags.
Yeah, he's still down at the bottom and his car is crabbing terribly. Probably took severe damage. We were debating whether or not he had to take a spare car. He's definitely going to have to take a spare car now if he's got it. Meanwhile, this has bumped Doyle Lawrence back up into 7th.
Do we have a... You want to check the leader? Or are you still seeing my timing scoring right? Do we have a...
I don't...
Yeah, that's... I don't see Otis out there.
Otis is 1 lap down currently, so I don't see him dropping in the server yet, but that's, let's see.
Did he take a pit stop, maybe? Yes, he did. He
So
was
did
in for a
Smith.
stop.
Smith also.
You know what? I think they thought that a caution was going to come out as soon as they heard that someone was wrecking.
Well, that's understandable. The guy was barrel rolling, but he was so far off the track, I guess it didn't count. So Otis and Smith have both come in.
Wayne Hutchinson didn't... Oh, Wayne Hutchinson is in as well.
Yeah, well, Hutchinson was out in front. All of a sudden, Hutchinson found himself in front because
Oh,
Otis
and
and
Clark,
Smith have
we've
hit
got
it.
an accident. Caution is out. Henry Clark. And it looks like just what we saw before, and some more guys sound like they're wrecking, judging by the radio chatter. He ran into a lapped car. That was Doyle Lawrence, actually. Now, what happened here? Was Doyle trying to go into the pits? Because he just suddenly slowed at the bottom. We're looking on board from Henry Clark. You'll see him just close up at a high rate of knots with nowhere to go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Doyle was trying to pit there.
See Henry Clark, his Tony Hawk impression, grinding along that front wall there.
I don't think he gets bonus points for that, unfortunately.
Well, it was getting close to the end of a fuel run. The last stop was at 94, so they were maybe 27 laps into it.
Now, what does this mean for our leaders? Remember, they went a lap down.
I'm looking right now. Otis is a lap down. Smith is a lap down. Carl Burke is
Good
one
news
lap
is
down.
they could probably get that wave around here. I think we're going to see all of our people here on the lead lap. Like you said, we've been out here for a long run, so they're just going to stay out here and they're going to get the wave around, and we're going to get some more through the field drivers here. It'll be very fun.
Yeah, but even with the rave around, the best they're going to be able to hope for is to be back in measure 19, position 19 or 20. So here comes the leaders: Pence, Pitts, Fleischle, and Fleischle was flying, by the way.
Yeah, I had noticed he was already up to 4th place.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned it because I was trying to see what was going on elsewhere, but even though they're going to get their lap back, they're going to be at the tail of the field, won't they?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. They're going to be, best case scenario, they're going to line up behind the last car. Maybe
Especially
Lawrence,
with Otis.
maybe Doyle Lawrence on the last car on the lead lap, maybe.
With Otis's speed and clear air, this is the last thing that he wants, I'm sure.
Yeah, bad news for them, news for us, because if it's anything like Fleischle on that last run, we're going to see some really good racing as they try to get back up to the front here.
Undoubtedly. As they exit the pits, Chris Pence was able to hold on to the lead. Pitts in 2nd and Fleischle in 3rd. Driver we haven't talked a whole lot about, Rob Gall, sitting in 4th. Nice job from him.
Leading the West Club. Sitting 2nd in the overall point standings.
There we see Gall in his black and red machine. We're hearing some chatter from Wayne Hutchinson.
Well, Hutchinson, yeah, he's there. Hutchinson and Smith and Burke are trying to work it out. Hutchinson's saying, "Well, wait, I'm the last car on the lead lap, and if he has pitted and he doesn't come in, then I'm not sure those guys get the wave around. I think Hutchinson might be ahead of him.
Yes, but Hutchinson is screwed at 20th.
Well, I guess he would. That's
so he should get. So we're understanding that these guys should get their wave around. That includes Wayne Hutchinson, Michael Smith, Ray Partridge, I believe. Looks like Carl Burke, Drew Lalonde, and then we get to Chris Pence. So pace lights are still on. Should be next time, I believe, that they're going to get their wave around.
Drew Lalonde will not be getting that lap back.
And Otis is in the pits. You know what? I think Otis managed to be in the right position, that he wasn't a lap down potentially here, because he went in for another pit stop.
Maybe he was at the tail end of the lead lap and then topped off.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Looks like he was at the tail of the field when he stopped.
So that's something Smith is not going to get to do. Smith is going to be 2 or 3 laps now behind in fuel strategy, because he's not going to be able to come in if he gets the wave around.
Will that come into play? We're 124 laps in, one more, And we hit the halfway point, guys. Just got to do this all over again one more time.
Second half should be faster.
Fewer cars out there. We've had a lot of DNFs. James Paulson, Adam Young, Lionel Kalisto, David Williams, Henry Clark. 5 cars at the tail end who have all DNF'd today at Auto Club Speedway. Wave bys are around, which means the lights are off on the pace car. We have been getting a little longer green flag runs, James. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on it, but like you said, it seems like it's calming down.
Yeah, I think that, I think earlier you're trying to get used to something that Adam was telling us earlier is that they're playing a lot with these weight jackers. There's a lot of dirty air out there. And so, by the way, big thanks to Adam Young, who's been giving us a lot of good information from inside the race. But they've been playing a lot with the weight jacker, and also when you have these new cars that are driving around here, there's a lot of sucking up. So you need to be playing with everything, and that's one thing is I just don't think they could have gotten away from each other earlier and trying to maneuver the cars around the track. We're seeing a lot of mistakes and just finding out exactly how close you can run to people, and I think that they're starting to get a little bit better hang of that right now and learning how to cooperate with each other, kind of work together, and try and make it to the end of this race.
Well, mark your scorecards. We're on lap 125. Ryan Otis is in 18th. Michael Smith is in 21st. Let's see what kind of progress they can make. Pace car peels off. We're on board with Chris Pence as he accelerates away and leaves Jason Pitts in the dust.
This is what Pence has been waiting for, some clean air now. Let's see what he can do. He's been biding his time. Let's see what he does in clean air. And in vice versa, let's see what Otis can do in dirty air.
We had a little bit of a scary moment with Carl Burke. A really good jump on everybody around him, made up a number of good positions there at the start. We're hearing drivers talk exactly what you were talking about, James, of accordion effect, keeping people from being able to accelerate when the green flag comes.
Yeah, and if someone does not get a good restart and they're up there on that wall, there's not a whole lot you can do. You just have to wait patiently until you get to that line, and then you can start to make your move and find your way around them, and it just bunches up the field behind them.
Meanwhile, we've been seeing a little bit of battling for the lead. Here comes Jason Pitts looking on the inside of Pence, and it looks like he's going to take that P1 away.
And who's that lurking in third place, Joe?
Fleischle. We mentioned it before, I think during the start of the caution, that he was up there. So Fleischle has made his run back up. You just cannot write yourself out, even with as big of an accident as we saw with Fleischle.
You might find it a little tougher going up there with Pitts and Pence than he did back in 17th, working his way through. But running in third has a nice run now, peeking to the outside.
I don't think he's going to go anywhere now. He backs out of it once they get to the corner, but here comes Pence. The run, looking down the front stretch. Actually, Fleischle has a great run too, but he backs out of it. We're hearing there might be damage on Hayspec's car.
Oop, and we got Mark Jubinski, I think, might have put it in the wall. I don't see the yellow flag. Little trouble.
And I'm not seeing Jubinski run into anything on my replay, but we're on board with Hayspec. I think that was Hayspec actually talking about, not Carl Burke, Barker, I think. Yes, it was Barker who he mentioned potentially having some damage on his car.
The lead is getting exciting. Oh, they almost went 3 wide there. They thought better of it.
Pitts is still leading, is in second, and Fleischle in third. However, now they've got Christian Steele behind them and Rob Gall. It's a 5-car race for the lead.
Fleischle was not happy about that move that was made on him from Pence.
Coming around to tick another lap off. Wow, they're getting very close. Pence is looking extremely racy as he ducks out from the draft of Pitts. And here comes Fleischle down to the inside, going to take an opportunity. Fleischle into second place. once again with a long way to go. Top cars really doing some aggressive moves.
And we talked about it. Mark Jubinski is in the pits. I'm not sure what happened. I didn't see him hit the wall. Maybe an engine blew. He's there. He's parked. He's now a lap down. It might be the end of his day.
It's looking back to return the favor on the inside of Fleischle. Doesn't have the room. Here comes Christian Steele, though, with a great run on the outside. They get oh so close. Pence manages to save it. I don't think Steele touched the wall. And this is going to cost both of them positions, because here comes Rob Gall up into third position, and they're going to lose quite a gap to Jason Pitts. This could be a chance for the top two to stretch away. Rob Gall still having to fight for that position from Christian Steele. Looks like maybe now he's got it.
And back in fifth position where he's comfortable, Chris Pence. That's where he likes to be.
I don't think he meant to slip back there with...
I don't know.
He looked like evasive maneuvers trying to keep from running into Steele coming out of two there. Let's go over to 10th position. That is Ryan Bird, who's in the middle of a pack. He's got Barnes and Larry Ford up ahead of him, not far, but he's also still under threat from Steve Paulison and Mark Redeker behind him. Redeker blinking a bit on my screen, actually.
"21 drivers now on the lead lap.
I see that Lionel Callisto, who we said is still out there, is trying to make his way past some cars that are out, including Henry Clark. Last car besides Callisto is Ray Partridge, 9 laps down, sitting in 26th. So our leaders were not able to stretch away. Pitts is being caught by Christian Steele, although Chris
Here
Pence
comes
is
Jubinski into the pits.
So Jubinski now headed in to, I'm assuming, repair maybe damage?
Yeah, he had been in there for a long time. Maybe he's trying a second repair. The crew maybe sent him out, said go, and he said, oh, I can't drive this. So maybe he's trying it one more time.
This battle for the lead has not let up. Jason Pitts still hassling Jason Fleischle now that they've got Steele right on their rear wing. It's 1, 2, 3 all together within 0.3 of a second. Here goes a pass for the lead. Pitts looking to the inside, down into 1. Fleischle holding up the momentum around the outside, denies Pitts the pass.
Rob Gall's kind of dropped off the pace there.
Getting awful close to 100 laps to go here. We've hopped on board. Steele just looking over his shoulder as they work their way through 1 and 2. Tucking in behind Pitts. That draft starting to pull him in. Tries to carry the momentum down the backstretch. Not enough, so he pulls back to the outside.
Otis and Smith work their way up to 13th and 14th now.
And they're only, and I say only, but this is an oval, so it's still quite a bit, 5 seconds and 7 seconds behind our leaders.
And a car that got real loose, Stephen Paulison got real loose. Almost took it down pit lane. He's running the apron now in 14th position, now dropping position. So that's another spot for Otis, now up to 12th. It won't be long till he's up there with those top 5.
That was Steve Paulson. Wow, he was super loose through there.
Yep.
Not sure if we want to look at a replay, but we're on board with Otis at this point. We're not going to, unfortunately, be able to get a replay of that. So Otis up into 11th. Where is Bird? He's another half a second ahead of him.
And Otis is chopping that time off. 1/10 of a second every syllable.
This is going to be a done deal any moment now, and he's going to work his way into the top 10. And that was done in about 15 laps.
In fact, yeah, they're all bunched together. He can get all the way up to Sam Bourne here before he has to set sail and cross the ocean to try to get up to the next batch of guys, which is Rob Gall in 5th.
Interestingly, even though he was closing on him, I wonder if this is tying into what I mentioned earlier, that Ryan Otis is great in clean air, but is struggling to close up on the back of Bird here now that he's caught him. Washing up the track, and he's got a lift. Sounds like we're hearing he did that last time around. So yeah, I think, James, I think this is a case of Otis is a lot better solo than he is in traffic.
You could definitely set up your car to run that, and you know, Fleischle, he has a very stable car. You can definitely tell the way that he's going. He's good in traffic. He's good out front. He can kind of do whatever he wants to with the car. It looks like Otis just has that car that, like you said, is really good out in front. But then he gets back there in that dirty air, and he has not found the setup yet.
Well, Bird made a big mistake coming out of 2. That allowed Otis to get by. And it looks like Bird is going to play the game that you were talking everybody should, Bill, and just holding on to the back of that cannon machine.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody able to hold on to it, though. It's slippery.
Meanwhile, just a little ways up, we're looking at Chris Beck, who's in a battle with Brian Barnes. This is for 8th and 9th. And you can just see in the background that cannon car's closing and closing and closing. And we're hearing that Mark Jubinski is retiring the car, unfortunately.
Now, Otis has done a better job of getting through traffic than Smith. Smith's been doing okay, but he's still 4 positions back, running in 13th.
Here goes Brian Barnes to the inside of Chris Beck. And Barnes is now up into 8th. Now we've got Otis on the back of Beck, but we're going to switch up to the leaders, actually. Not much has changed there. Fleischle still out in the lead. Still has Christian Steele behind him. Actually, I think Steele jumped pits before we last saw. Not far behind them as well as Chris Pence. That's our top 4. You got to go about a second back before you get to Rob Gall in 5th. So Otis has caught up to Beck and passed him. He's already on the inside of Barnes, looking down into turn 1. Is he going to be able to get him, though? Taking a very shallow line in there, and I think Barnes is not even interested in fighting this fight. He gives him the room.
That puts him up into 8th. Next on the and Otis hit blitz will be Sam Bourne and Larry Ford running 6th and 7th.
One thing to note, last time I looked at the gap, it was 5.3 between Otis and the leader. Currently 4.9, so he's been battling through traffic and
gaining. Yikes.
We're on board with Barnes, seeing if maybe he can ride the coattails. The very fast Otis.
And we got Ray Partridge in the wall, still just leaving pit exit right now, outside of turn 1.
See if we can see what happened on the replay. I'm trying to find it on my screen as well.
Are
we can see he's already into the wall before the front stretch, actually.
Yeah, it's one of those that started in 4 and ended on 1 again. Looks like we're going to stay green, though.
Very lenient, or at least much more lenient than real life in our marshals here in iRacing. Yeah, just washed up the track and took a nice thwack into there. You can see how. Yeah, that is a seriously damaged car, and I'm pretty sure Ray Partridge had damage before, but we've got a change for the lead. It's Christian Steele. We haven't seen him up front in quite a while. He's overtaken Jason Fleischle. Remember, Steele was following him through the field after both of them came together.
This is going to get Bourne, I think.
That's going to move him up into 7th. He's got Larry Ford just ahead of him as well. It looks like Barnes is going to try and follow him through on Boren, and not able to carry the speed to do it. Meanwhile, Otis chasing down Ford, looking to get into the top 6. Already down into turn 1. He does not hesitate, and there's a caution
Wrecking
flag.
4.
Stephen Paulison and Kyle Murphy got together.
Let's look at this down into 3. Looks like he just had a slow entry. Oh, and he got tipped by, who was that? Kyle Murphy. There were some apologies. And I think Murphy has severe damage because he has spun to a stop.
Really wasn't Murphy's fault.
Yeah, we just watched the replay from his onboard, and he took a very good hit onto the outside wall there. He is in his pit stall currently.
Murphy had a huge run, and then Paulson came down in front of him. Paulson didn't know he was going to be there. That kind of happens.
We are going to take a quick break here at GSRC, and then we'll come back to Auto Club Speedway. We'll see what the pit stops have in order, since it's been a little bit since the guys have been in for fuel and tires. So stick around, and we'll come back hopefully for the end of this race. Welcome back to Auto Club. Caution went by quickly. We are already coming back to green. It's Jason Fleischle who is going to lead the way. Or, excuse me, no, lights are going to...
Yeah, we're going to go one more lap, I think.
Yes, lights should be going off this time by... Excuse me, I was given wrong information, I believe. So as we cross the line... Yes, now we're coming back to green, this time by... So, Jason Fleischle is going to lead the way. Christian Steele is behind him in second. Chris Pence, one of your favorites, Bill, sitting in third, just stalking them. Jason Pitts, another guy who's had a bit of a quiet race, sitting in fourth. And Rob Gall rounds out our top 5.
Ryan Otis has made it up to 6th position there after the pit stops. Then Larry Ford, you know they were in that battle. Sam Bowen in 8th. Brian Barnes in 9th. And Chris Beck in the top 10.
Now, he's not making as quick a progress as Otis, but Smitty is currently sitting in 12th. On lap 154, so we have a little less than 100 laps to go. So he's still got time. I don't think his race is over yet.
Shout out to Mike Franklin, currently in 20th position. He's leading the sportsman's class, and it's nice to have him racing up here with the pro division.
Might
Take a look
have
at
a bit
Franklin.
of we might have a bit of damage on Franklin actually. Has been in some trouble, but he's on the lead lap. Can't really see any from the onboard from this angle, but we need to get back to the leaders because the pace car has now pulled off. Jason Fleischle controls the field, accelerates away, and the green flag is out. What can Ryan Otis do from 6th? The gap is now down to 2 seconds between himself and the leaders, under 2 seconds. Already working on Rob Gall, pulls up to the rear wing, can't manage to get around. He's going to have to wait for another opportunity. Here it comes right now. Another opportunity comes seconds later, and Ryan Otis now into the top 5.
I think the guy to watch now is Michael Smith, Smitty in 12th position. He's not getting through these guys as fast as Otis was, being very aggressive.
We might want to jump to the lead actually, because Christian Steele made a pass attempt around the outside but couldn't quite make it happen. Now he goes for the over-under, varies the speed. Christian Steele has the inside. Jason Fleischle gives up the ghost, and Christian Steele is going to come around to lead lap 156.
Smith gets around Bird. And Smitty is eating. He's hungry. He's now trying to go to the outside of Beck. He could go a lot faster if there was room, but there's just no room for Smith.
We're hearing word that this might be old news apparently, that Rediker got into the side of Jabinski.
Yeah, that might have been the end of Smitty. It's scaring me. Smitty's around Larry Ford now.
Be careful on poor old Bill's heart there, Smitty.
Up to 10th, and now he's trying to make quick work of Chris Beck. Beck's giving him a hard time.
Meanwhile, we've got Chris Pence finally deciding it's time to move, looking on the outside of Fleischle. Fleischle is able to hold him off, though. Ryan Otis, he was 2 seconds back. Now it's 1.3. Closing on Jason Pitts, and he's pulling Rob Gall with him.
100 laps to go. This may be Pence's time. Smitty going 3 wide on the inside, back behind the leaders. Takes 2 cars.
Still 3 wide. Still
Gonna
three
get
wide
3
behind
cars.
him. That is Bird and Beck and Barnes that were 3 wide, and they all come out unscathed. Great driving by everybody there.
But I'm afraid, Nickel, that's all she wrote is now you've got a long way to go to get to Rob Gall. You're almost 2 seconds back.
He's going to have to hope that he can stretch away from those guys behind him because they are battling very hard. Oh, and a bit of contact. That was Chris Beck into the back of Smitty. Huge wobble. Smitty held on to it. He's lost a little bit of speed. Looks like we're hearing on the radio, might have chopped him a little bit. Now it looks like Beck has gotten past, so Smitty definitely is caught in the mire of this battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Pass for the lead.
Christian Steele on the inside of Fleischle. Fleischle not able to get it done.
He's not done yet, though. Oh,
but
he loses momentum.
Yeah, has to check up big time.
Nope, there he goes.
He's going to have the inside down into 3 and 4. Fleischle back into the lead. Fleischle has led for 42 laps. The driver who has led for the most is Ryan Otis. He is now 7/10, 6/10 back from the leader, gaining hand over fist. Fleischle to the inside as we ride on board with Otis. Oh, and we got a caution.
Big spin. Chris Beck. Chris Beck and Michael Smith.
Oh, both of them into the wall, it looks like. We're going to look at the replay. Those two were fighting very hard, and unfortunately, it looks like Beck just came down into the side, or possibly Smith came up into the side of Beck. It's a bit of a judgment call. Wow! We're going to look at it from the car behind. That is Ryan Bird, actually, who is directly behind them. Wow, just saw it from the blimp view, and look at the cars just making some incredible moves to avoid them. I'd love to see the onboard from them after this. This is from Bird's view. No, we're actually still on the blimp, it looks like.
Yeah, Ryan Bird was right behind him and was able to avoid it. Using the grid lines as a guide, it looked like Smith was pretty much holding his line.
Here we are on with Ryan Bird. He had gained a couple positions there. Just holding station down the front stretch, getting in the tow, following them up the hill. Then it erupts, and whew, that was close.
Everybody misses.
Let's go to Chad Barker and rewind that and look at it from Chad Barker's view. Here we are on board with Barker, coming down to turn 1. We're going to see a little bit of smoke just up ahead. Hutchinson was another driver just up in that blue car. Whew! Gosh, no time to think on that, Bill.
No, it happened fast, and amazing that only 2 cars were really involved.
Now we're going to watch it from Hutchinson's view. This is such a shame after Smitty was working his way back up through. Oh my goodness, I don't think Hutchinson even made a move. I think he just got lucky. He just stayed
pointed
straight.
and closed his eyes.
Yeah. Stayed straight, and everything just kind of parted like the Red Sea around him. Incredible stuff. It was something that I had jotted a note about in here, James, in the stories of the race. With speeds being as high as they are, there's not going to be small accidents around here, and I think that was a good example.
Yeah, big speeds, big accidents, and during that, Kyle Murphy got the Tiny Kennels Lucky Dog Award. But yeah, when you have an accident coming up, it's not going to be a small one. It's gonna wind up in your race if you're out of those fast repairs, and we saw that there. You make a little bit of contact, you hit the wall hard.
Look at that, our new commentator jumping right in and getting the sponsor pitch in there, Bill.
Oh, goodness.
Putting some other commentators to shame
It's
there.
a shame. I know, he even knew how the name of it.
So Fleischle is still leading. Christian Steele is still in second. Jason Pitts currently in third. But look out behind them. Ryan Otis into fourth now. We are on lap 165.
Let me do some math here. What is that's how many away? 85? Is that what that is? I think
Oh, don't ask me to do math, Bill.
165, 250, that's 85 laps. Can you go 42 laps on us? Can you one stop it from here, James? Probably not, huh?
I know. I think you can one
You
stop
think
it
you
on
can?
here. Very, very realistically, can one stop it from here. I think that actually everyone, without even too much of a fuel strategy, should be able to one stop it from here.
It's kind of a moot point because I'm sure there'll be another yellow, but
I think once we get around 50 laps to go, anywhere in that 50 to 45 range, if anyone pits there, that's going to be very, very iffy on if they can make it to the end. Once we get below 45 to go, then there's
Okay.
a pretty good chance that they're going to be making it to the finish. Gamblers, 45 to go, 45 to 40 to go. Those are going to be your safe betters.
well, have the pits opened yet? Have these guys had an option to pit? Because I don't think any of our leaders have come in.
Well, we were on that replay for quite a while, so if they pitted it, I think it would have been by now.
Well, Fleischle didn't.
So, drivers electing to stay out. As far as the gamblers go, James, we have a favorite phrase around here, and that is that luck is a bad strategy. So, we'll see who decides to try and roll the dice and who does not as we get closer to the finish. Lights are off on the pace car. We got one more, and then we are back to green.
I'm hearing that some guys here are having a really hard time, even with saving. Some guys are around 40 with saving, some guys are around 44 with saving. So apparently that's going to be our realistic pit window of what some people have been doing. But there's been a lot of saving going on here so far.
You won't see Chris Pence up at the front because he's pitted. Barnes is pitted. So there's
Pence
some
was up
guys
towards
who've
the front
come
too,
in.
wasn't he?
Yeah, Pence was right up there with the leaders.
This could, if he can stay out of trouble in the mid-pack, this could be a good call from Chris Pence, or this could be a terrible call. We'll have to see.
Doyle Lawrence has come in. All the back markers. Hayspec has been in. Redeker. So all the guys in the back have come in.
And why wouldn't they? If there's
Right,
a good
exactly.
chance that this is the one green flag run to the end, you're sitting pretty because now you have one less stop. You're going to wind up battling out for this win.
Yeah, well, the guys in the back have nothing to lose, but Chris Pence has given up 15 positions, although the way we've seen people work through the field and with the draft, maybe it's not that big of a give up after all.
So, pace car comes around to the pit entrance, dives off away from the field. Jason Fleischle has control, accelerates away, and we are back to green racing. What can Ryan Otis do? He managed to work his way all the way up from about 18th position now into 4th. Going to be a little harder going now, I think.
Those guys ahead of Otis need to double up and stay doubled up for the next 84 laps. Does he let that boy get into clean air and see you later?
Ryan Otis is wasting no time. He is already in 3rd before we get back to the line. He has overtaken Jason Pitts. Now it's another 7/10 to get up to Christian Steele, who is going for the lead around the outside down into 1.
Pence is currently running in 12th after giving up those positions.
Fleischle is in no mood to give up the lead this time. Goes defensive down into 3 and 4. Forces Steele to take the high side. In the meantime, Otis now closing in. Half a second back from our leaders. I think if he's able to get by them, it is good night. Otis closing in. 2/10 back. We ride on his roll bar now. Look at Steele with a great run, but Otis with a better run. He's going to take first place from 3rd in a single corner. What a move! It only took, what was that, 2 laps from the restart? Otis went from 4th to 1st. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, Fleischle and Steele still fighting each other as if Otis didn't even phase them. Steele manages to overtake Fleischle, so he goes from second to third to second. Let's see if he can rock up on the back of Otis's rear wing. Looks to the outside. Otis has been able to stretch away when he's in clear air before. They do it again.
Pence working his way up now into 10th place as you're watching that battle.
We've got Pence on screen right now. He's right behind Chad Barker. He's got a decent run. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get by him, though, with him being on the outside down into one.
It was a total different animal going as Pence went through all the guys behind him there, through Bourne and Ford and Barnes and Gelder. Totally different driving as he's going outside now to make this pass, hopefully safely there on Barker. Very, very careful, very, very calculating compared to what we saw from Otis when he was just slicing and dicing these guys.
And it sounds like we got a battle for the lead. Christian Steele looking on the outside of Ryan Otis, but can't make it happen. Hearing some dissent between the drivers. Chris Beck and a few other guys obviously having a few problems. Meantime, Jason Fleischle sees an opportunity, looks to the inside of Christian Steele, but doesn't have the speed.
Three wide back with Pence right now. Three wide going into turn one.
Ooh, close moments. That was Larry Ford on the outside there, but still, Barker not giving up to Pence.
Pence and Barker were side by side for laps. Now he's got a run.
Here he goes.
There he
down
goes.
To the inside. Now he's got him as Barker drops way back immediately. Oh, wow. Larry Ford nearly. Huge time up into the wall.
Pass for the lead. It looks like Otis has that clean air, but Steele's going to go to the inside and get that position.
Steele is trying to hold touch, and he does. Takes it through turn 3 and 4. Steele comes around to lead his 29th lap of the race.
Oh, Ford is in the wall. In the grass.
Yep.
Same corner as last lap, coming out of 4.
Going straight, so no yellow.
Probably has some damage on that car, unfortunately, and he is going to just drop positions now. That was Larry Ford. There you can see him going very slowly down the backstretch. If he comes in for a pit stop here. He's got damage that we can just see on the right side, and now he comes in for a stop. Yeah.
Almost didn't make it.
We are back at the front, though, unfortunately, and Otis has a run heading down the backstretch on Christian Steele. He looks to the outside. Drivers are starting to get more defensive on lap 177. Otis has the speed. Christian Steele got very loose, though.
Yeah, lost a lot of momentum.
Ooh, this could be bad. Oh, it looks like he's just able to get into the toe, so I think he's going to hold on to the tail of Jason Fleischle and stay in this. Fleischle, though, dropping a little bit back from Otis.
I think it's... I was going to compliment Steele for being able to hang on to Otis. We have to be careful if Otis gets a little bit farther. Fleischle, though, it's hard to say. Fleischle's no slouch. See if he can run with him straight up here.
He's been good in traffic, too. Meanwhile, let's jump back to 11th and 12th. We've got a battle going on between Barnes and Boren. Boren looking to the outside down into turn 1. I don't think he's going to be able to clear this. He tries to carry the speed, but it's just too much.
you guys were talking about strategy. I'll tell you right now that those top 3, they're needing a yellow because they're going to have to come in at least 2 more times now. Those guys in the back are looking really good at this point if they can make it to this next pit window.
Right, now the leader of all the cars who we think can do it on one more stop is Pence.
Yes, Pence came in late on that last caution. Currently sitting in 9th, though. He's gotten past Barker, hasn't really made inroads on Gall. Here we're looking at that battle still between Borin and Barker. No, excuse me, is that Barker? No, that's Borin and Barnes. Excuse me. We are on board with Brian Barnes now, just looking over his shoulder. Only just occurred to me he's got that beautiful Krakow livery on his car. Being an 80s fan of IndyCar, definitely brings back memories for me.
I think that would be Little Al Unser maybe in the Krakow car.
Indeed. Not able to make inroads on Borin, though, as he just holds it. Whoa, is that a bobble, though? From Borin coming up the hill. Starting to close, Brian Barnes, but not enough speed down the front stretch. These two look to be just about stuck where they are at the moment until someone makes a mistake. Good news for Jason Fleischle fans. He's been able to hold on to Ryan Otis. So has Christian Steele. Now, with Steele sitting behind these two, do you think you can maybe stretch it to a single stop, James? Or is there no hope, even though, you know, he's got the draft helping him there?
I don't think they're going to be able to make it. I think what Soup was saying earlier is I think that Pence is right now in the catbird seat. I think that if they go green to the end, it's going to be between Pence, it's going to be between Barker.
So, I have to wait and see what the cautions hold. We're on lap 183 now.
Now, I think a real question would be, because if a yellow comes out, I think Pence will have to come in and pit, because I don't think he can afford to stay out on old tires, even if these guys came in. But if these guys have to pit, will Pence be able to get a lap on them? Probably. I'm thinking yes, if they need a full fill. What do you think, James? Pence is now running in 7th position, probably about 7 seconds back of the lead. Do you think the leaders could come in, get a full fill, and stay ahead of Pence?
That's where we're getting into territory where that's going to be very close.
Yeah.
You're looking at around an 8-second pit stop to get the full 18.5 gallons into these cars. And especially at this, well, there is an interesting strategy that you can think about. But you can't have the leaders that are coming in, they're going to try and split this last stop. So they might only take, say, 10 gallons on this run and then 10 gallons on the next run. We're getting towards the end of that race where you don't want to have a lot of fuel towards the end of the race. You want that car to be as light as possible. So
got a smoker. Smoker, is he going to loop it in the wall?
Ryan Bird's trying to hold on to it.
Oh, that was a tank slapper.
Wow, great car control from Bird. Oh, and now he's
still fighting it.
I thought he had it. He's sideways down in the grass, so he might be able to keep us from getting a yellow. We're going to look at the replay. We're going to have to go a ways back here. We just saw the start of it. Here we go. Now we're going to get to see the full thing coming down the backstretch. Going to just happen exiting. Oh, and he's still struggling.
I'm not sure what he's doing now.
Here it
is. He might want a yellow.
He was down on the apron, oddly. Just starts to lose it, takes it into the grass, wobbling back and forth, trying to hold on to it. Green and black machine never pointed forwards, it seems. And then you can see he finally loops it around down towards turn 1 there. So we've jumped back up front. Jason Fleischle still sitting in 2nd place, holding on about 3/10 behind Ryan Otis. Christian Steele dropping back a bit. He is now half a second back from Fleischle. Getting word that the AM split has 99 laps to go, so they are even farther behind. They must have had even more cautions.
Okay, our leaders came in on lap 152. Now, there's been a few yellow flags between them. They stayed out on some yellows. So 152, 62, 72, 82. We're looking at 37 laps so far on this fuel run. It's got to be any time now, huh, James?
Yeah, we're going to start seeing cars here on pit road here before too long.
Meanwhile, we're
Probably
looking
here
at
within the next 5 or so laps.
Meanwhile, we're looking at Sam Boren in ninth. He's in a battle with Rob Gall, and he's got to defend from Barnes behind. We watched these a little bit earlier. These two fighting it out. Now it's a 3-car battle. Boren with a nice run, looking up to the outside. Gall stays defensive down into 1. Don't think he's going to have the speed to carry that one around. Meanwhile, just behind, Barnes kind of holding position, seeing what this holds. Washes up way high and loses momentum, though. Boren is not giving up on that outside lane, though, seeing if he can carry the speed. Still for this 7th position. Oh, and now he's able to get it done. Actually, did Gall give that up? Did he lift? Or did he have trouble coming out of the corner, maybe? That was very sudden. So let's jump back up to the front here, because Christian Steele now over a second and a half behind Fleischle. It's now dropped to just 2 battling for the lead in this green flag run.
Be a couple things, maybe turn down the wick a little bit. Probably doesn't want to be the first person to have to come in and pit. And on the other hand, maybe he just lost the toe and Otis and Fleischle have the legs.
Fleischle is just barely holding on, but we've jumped back to this battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th. Boren on the inside of Barnes now. They have dropped Rob Gall, who's now half a second back. Now, let's not forget, Chris Pence, he is up to 7th now. He's about half a second back from Wayne Hutchinson in 6th.
And I think James Brian Barnes, I think that's one of the names we mentioned that pitted with Pence. I think that was the case. Should have wrote that
Chad
down.
Barker, actually?
No, it was Barker. It was Barker.
And I think Ryan Otis.
Someone coming on the pit road.
Trying to figure out
Murphy,
who is
Kyle
entered
Murphy
pit road.
coming in.
There we go.
Pitting from 20th.
First driver in, farther back in the field. However, I'd like to note that Fleischle is not able to gain ground. We're on board with Barnes now, still on this battle for 8th place. I think as the run goes on, this is what we were seeing earlier, that Otis
Barker's pitting
is
next time
just
by.
so much better. So Barker also going to be coming in. I'm thinking that Otis is just better on long runs here because Fleischle is not able to make any inroads here. He's just been holding about half a second back and can't close.
That's when we saw. That's actually what James was saying. That's when we saw just make his move last time. He's good on the long run.
Well, when this battle is getting fierce here for 8th place that we've still got on screen, Boren trying to hold off Barnes. This is one of the rare cases where we're seeing green flag stops here. How is this going to play out? 196 laps in.
Our leaders go around one more time.
Barker and Gelder came in last time. Carl Burke will be pitting this time.
Yep. We haven't talked a whole lot about Burke other than his protests over the radio. He's sitting in 5th at the moment. And here comes Otis. This is in. Fleischle continues on around.
Now, this is where we want to keep an eye on Pence. See if Pence can at least put a lap on him, because that would change everything with the wave around. That would mean that Otis would end up at the back of the pack if a yellow came out.
With fewer and fewer laps to go, that's not what he wants at the end of the race.
Pence, about the middle of the backstretch right now.
This is definitely going to be a 2-stop, I'm assuming, unless we have a lot of cautions here.
Now, Otis set his qualifying on Monday, too, and he held it all week, too. So, he's been fast from the very get-go.
Here comes Pence across the start-finish line.
And Pence has actually moved into the lead here.
Yeah, he's in the lead now. Let's see. Otis is just ahead of Pence right now. Let's see if Pence has the momentum to put a lap on him. Nope. I think Otis is going to get out just ahead. Maybe not. Yep.
No, actually, Pence was going by just... Wait, no, here he
No,
is.
Pence
I'm
is
sorry.
right behind Otis right now, still with momentum. Might be able to get this, put Otis a lap down, but I don't think so.
Do you push the issue, though? That's the question. Is it worth trying to risk it?
No, your goal is to make it on one more stop here. You made your strategy, you made your bed, you're going to sleep in it. So Pence is on his strategy at this point, and he can... there's no really point for him to try and lap him right now. He just needs to sit back there, continue running his game.
Here goes Fleischle has come in, and now Otis is going to go by Fleischle as coming out of the pits, and Pence sitting right behind them. Still, Pence is the leader, and those guys are almost lapped down.
50 more laps.
And actually, James, that almost works out in Pence's favor. Like you said, he'd sit back in there, save some more fuel.
So, 1 more 5th of this race to go, and then we reach 500 miles around Auto Club Speedway. Right now, Chris Pence is your leader. We assume he has only 1 stop. Brian Barnes sitting in 2nd. Can he make it on a single stop more? Long ways back till we get to Mark Redeker, 7 seconds back.
As of right now, Pence pitted on lap 166. If he can make it to lap 208, he can make it on 1 stop.
There you go. And we've seen these races once things settle down, Joe. We've seen these things go green for long stints once all the adrenaline is out of these guys. It's actually easier to run green lap races when let's see if I can spin it out. It's hard to commentate after 2 hours. It's easier to run long green stints when you're a little tired. I think the adrenaline's down a little bit. You're more patient.
Exactly. On board with Fleischle looking over his shoulder, he was hassling Ryan Otis, not able to do anything though. So with 48 laps to go, 6 more laps for Chris Pence. Does he have the fuel?
One thing too is with the tire degradation that we do have here, it'd be interesting too that even if they do have to stop twice, even if they can still make it, if the speed will overcome them. You've seen how far they pull away from Pence already.
What's always interesting in this situation, James, is have Otis and Fleischle out there on new tires pulling away from Pence, and you say, oh my goodness, Pence. But then later on, when Pence makes his pit, he's going to have the newer tires, and those guys are going to be running older. It's going to be very interesting.
We've got a battle on screen for 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's Alan Hayspec, Doyle Lawrence, and Mike Franklin. 3 names I don't think we expected to see this far up. Hayspec, remember, he had some serious issues earlier in the race. So for him to be sitting in 4th...
I think Hayspec and those guys, a lot of those guys came in when they were at the back of the field and topped off. So I think they're one stopping it as well.
46 laps to go.
Now, probably a yellow flag wipes the whole slate clean. Everybody comes in, and we have a dash to the end.
Oh, but what's the fun in that?
Yeah, I know. 45 laps to go. We're 3 laps away from Pence hitting that kind of halfway mark, splitting the difference.
And guys, well, I know he's not contending for anything, but Drew Lalonde is coming in now. I think he's going to have to be really stretching that fuel. We're looking at one more stop after this one. So is Doyle Lawrence, it sounds like.
It has to be a little careful as those guys, Otis and Fleischle, are really putting down the laps. They're it's going to have a hard time staying with him here. It's dropped almost a half lap back.
We're going to watch Doyle come in for a pit stop. Let's see how he does on his pit entry. Nice and slow on in. Michael Smith is in actually as well. Mike Franklin just ahead of him, heading in. Actually, Franklin overtook Lawrence. Franklin overtook Doyle on the pit entry. Wow.
Pence has stayed out. I think he's hit his number.
I think he's good to go now.
Yeah, we've got 43 to go. You could be right here. Haven't heard him saying he's pitting in this lap, so he could even maybe go a little longer. Currently leading Barnes by about a second. Does Pence come in this lap? Not slowing. Pence, nope, no,
He's
he
coming
is,
in.
he is.
Here he comes. Now, he's not going to come out in the lead. He's going to come out 4th or 5th, maybe. But he's done.
And Barnes stayed out. So Otis is not going to take over the lead here in this. Not until Barnes comes in. Barnes is going to be sitting the best, I think, on fuel out of these guys then. Pence still stationary. And Barnes
now
is now in.
coming in, James. There we go.
Here comes Pence. Now, he does have to stay on that apron until he gets to the backstretch. That is a rule that they do have here in the Pack Majors.
So he's got to get up to speed, can't get onto the banking, his car's streamed by. Pence sliding down the order, currently sitting in 10th now. And he's going to lose one more, down to 11th as Rob Gall goes by. Otis is once more our leader. Jason Fleischle, about a 10th behind. They've got some lap traffic in the form of Mike Franklin just ahead of them.
Pence will be 17 seconds behind the leader.
Meanwhile, we've got a great battle going on in 4th, 5th, and 6th. Jason Pitts, Carl Burke, Wayne Hutchison, and Burke almost looked to the inside but backs out of it. Cars accordion together.
Now, believe it or not, I think what Pence needs now is a yellow flag. I think he needs, here's my thinking, I think he needs Otis and Fleischle to come in and get them guys on the same pit strategy as Pence is. Because certainly if there's a yellow flag, they'll come in. The problem is that Otis and Fleischle will be way farther back in the pack because Pence isn't going to come in. The longer this thing goes, if the yellow flag comes out later, the same thing's going to happen, but Otis and Fleischle are going to have much fresher tires, to the point where maybe even Pence will have to come in to match the rubber. Very interesting. I don't know what you're going to do.
Well, at the amount of laps that they've even run here, and I don't think that Pence has the speed to race with Otis and Fleischle. So I think that he needs this to go green to the end if he wants any chance of stealing a win here.
Well, certainly green to the end is the way he wants to do it. I'm assuming, though, green to the end is perfect for Pence, but if there's going to be a yellow, probably he'd like it better earlier than late. We'll see.
This battle that we're watching on screen is getting pretty fierce between Pitts and Burke, and I believe these were the two that were fighting early in the race that weren't happy with each other, is it not?
The racing gods always love to keep you together.
Pitts trying to work that outside lane. Just not working for him. Oh, but he's got a run here. Pitts might be able to make it happen. He's still got a nose ahead coming down into 4. Can he keep the speed? And Burke is able to just start to stream back up in front of him. Man, they've been side by side for a while now.
So Otis and Fleischle pitted right before lap 200. So if they're doing the strategy that I would personally do, we should expect to see them in kind of close to around lap 223, 224, 225. Kind of split this last run in half. Get the freshest tires that you have possible, least amount of fuel as possible.
That makes perfect sense. You don't want to run long because there's no reason to stay out on old tires when you come in. Split it in half and have good tires for most of the stint.
They do know they're not going to go a lap down at this, so I would absolutely be going with that strategy. There's not as much risk involved.
Meanwhile, the battle rages on here for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Pitts has been able to get ahead of Carl Burke finally. Hutchison has been just holding behind. Here we ride on the rear wing of Jason Pitts.
You would think that Jason Pitts would have an advantage when it came to pit stop strategy, wouldn't you? He should certainly know when to go into the pits. All right. Gotta get me off of these long races, guys.
It's not us I'm worried about, it's our poor director. Meanwhile, Wayne Hutchison with a great run down the backstretch on Carl Burke. I don't think he's going to have the inside. Oh no, but Carl gives it to him actually. Carl doesn't seem to have a dog in that fight at the moment, at least not still 34 laps to go. So, in 9 more laps, do we see Otis and Fleischle come into the pits?
I think it should be noted that Otis Fleischle's been able to stay with him, so those Otis has not run away.
Remember, this is still somewhat early.
Early, yeah.
It's later in the run.
But it's going to be early, though. They're going to have fresh tires, like James was saying. They're going to come in here in the next maybe 8 laps, James would think. Yeah. I would think so, too. I mean, so Otis is not going to get that long. He's not going to get to race on old rubber.
Probably not.
Oh, I think we have a pass for the... Oh, no, that was a lap car, sorry.
Yes, we switched just to see that. That's Rob Gall. No, that's Mark Redeker, actually, that they're putting a lap on.
Out of the way, yeah.
Actually, this could be helpful for Otis as Fleischle is trying to work his way past. That gap has opened up now to 4/10 instead of the 2/10 it's been for much of the way. Otis has to lose a little bit of time to Drew Lalonde that he works his way past. But now, Fleischle has to work his way past him. Lalonde just simply holds high, lets him through. This could be what gets Fleischle back up in this. Still holding it about 4/10. Otis is just going to want to break that draft as much as he can. Keep himself safe. Chris Pence, in the meantime, currently up to 8th position. He's gained 2 spots.
18 seconds back, and let's see as he crosses the finish line here. Really not losing that much ground. Ooh, I have take it back. Yeah, take it back. He lost a little bit to the leaders, but still 18 seconds back, able to hold his ground, so he's running about the same pace as the leaders. I'm telling you, Pence has been playing possum the whole race.
Well, he's certainly playing the strategy game well, keeping us on our toes. Let's go back a little ways. We've got a battle for 17th and 18th. That's Ryan Bird and Larry Ford. Actually, Ford is very slow. Meanwhile, actually, there's a battle going by him. That's not a battle, excuse me. Michael Smith is not in a battle with Matt Gelder. Things are getting a little mixed up here at the end of the race as drivers are on all different laps, all different strategies. 29 to go.
Otis and Fleischle they can't believe that this thing is still green.
You can just see Burke heading into the pits now. He was up into 6th place, I believe, 7th or 6th. So he's losing
James,
positions.
Really the first driver on the Otis Fleischle strategy that you were talking about. This is just about the halfway mark between when he came in last time.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see Otis and Fleischle on the road here in the next lap or 2.
Still more lap traffic for them. Kyle Murphy. This is, I think, the longest green flag run we've seen so far.
Yeah, this is brutal for them.
Drivers have settled in. Everybody's running their strategy. They're not worried about fighting as much.
And it takes a lot of fortitude to make a green flag pit stop when you don't need to, when you know you're going to lose the lead. But it's really the move to make here, is to come in pretty soon and get it out of the way.
Otis
Otis
is running low, like he's signaling he's going to come into the pit road. Let's see if he does.
No. I think he was actually trying to break the draft.
That could be it as well. Sometimes a driver will go low on the backstretch the lap that they're pitting to let the car behind them know that they're coming in. But Fleischle still is on his bumper, so I'm sure he's just in draft tag with him.
Yeah, I'm sure Otis wants to do all he can to try and break that link, get away from Fleischle.
Here's another point for Fleischle. If Otis comes in, well, let me ask James. James, on your hot lap out of the pits, are you as fast as you are on new cold tires as you are on warm old tires? My thinking is, can Fleischle afford to stay out there if Otis comes in and worried that Otis is going to run hot laps and he's going to blow him away by the time Fleischle makes his pit?
You can, your first lap out, I mean, you can definitely leapfrog someone. Fleischle's able to play the game and pit. Fleischle might have hit the wall there on there.
I think it was wide, yeah.
We'll see here if he comes down pit road, but you definitely can. You can leapfrog the person if you come in and looks like no, Fleischle's still staying out. You can leapfrog. You do have a good amount. The cold tires really don't hurt you that badly.
Yeah, no.
I went and watched the replay from his view, and Fleischle just brushed the wall, and I think it's apparent because now he's half a second behind Otis. Now, I do have one question for you, Bill. You explain to me how new old tires work.
All right, did I say new? Yeah, I meant cold. I left off the seat. My thinking is, if Otis comes in and Fleischle doesn't, is Otis going to be faster on his out lap than Fleischle is running out there on old tires? I think Fleischle, if I'm Fleischle, I've got to cover whatever Otis, when Otis comes in, I've got to come in too and do whatever he does so I don't lose touch with him.
Just a side note, Pence in 6th place currently, 18 seconds behind the leaders.
Really running equal lap times with those guys.
23 laps to go. We've already passed the mark where you guys were calling that they might be coming in.
They might be going for the let's have as short of a pit stop as possible in this last one. I think that we will see them change tires, but as little fuel as possible. So as soon as the tires are done, they're ready to go.
Or maybe they're waiting for that, just hopefully that last caution. Fleischle has very much dropped. He is a second behind Otis. In fact,
so this will be go ahead.
It makes me wonder, with only 3.5 back to Christian Steele, we need to watch that gap. Steele going to gain on Fleischle.
I think Fleischle is going to do whatever. I think he's kind of going to do whatever this does. But again, I don't know why you would want to stay out there on.
Oh, Otis in the wall. Otis is in the wall.
Hard into the wall. Fleischle going by. Otis trying to get the car back up to the racing line here. He's going to actually go through the grass. He must have serious damage. He's going very, very slow. Twice now, our top two have gone into the wall here late stages in the race, losing focus. We're going to look at the replay as we just catch the end of it there. For sure, Otis is now into his pit stall.
Well, he's coming into the pits now, Joe.
That was coming off of turn 2. Here we're going to watch it now.
Fleischle's into the pits. He's taking the cone with him. That might be a penalty.
Oh.
Bad hit for Ryan
And he
Otis.
overshoots his stall. It's been pretty bad here for our leaders here these last few laps.
It really has. We were saying on the race earlier today for the Absolute Beginners Series, it's like the championship nobody wants to win. In this case, it's the 500 miler nobody wants to win. As people continue to make mistakes here, This is going to allow Christian Steele to inherit the lead. However, we think he has one more stop to make as well. And now that moves Chris Pence into 4th, 13 seconds back from the leader.
Pence should feel very lucky there. Only are those the people that he was going to be racing, but that they didn't bring out a yellow there. So, very, very, very lucky for Pence there. That was the best thing that could have happened for his strategy.
Really? The leader, for the guy you're chasing, to crash and not bring out this yellow, yeah, that worked out okay.
18 laps to go. Pitts is heading in.
Pence is up to 3rd.
He was in 5th place, now dropping down the order. Pence still chasing Wayne Hutchison and Christian Steele. 4 seconds up to Wayne, 13 up to Christian.
Fleischle is out, so now we'll keep an eye on when Steele comes in, how he files out in relationship to Fleischle, because they were fairly close.
These drivers have been out there for over 3 hours now. I'm thinking the fatigue is really setting in with the way that some of these guys have just been making minor mistakes that are costly.
Here, the turn 2 has been the really tough turn for these guys tonight.
It's bitten both of our leaders subsequently. Looking at Christian Steele, can he avoid that curse?
Only 6 drivers right now on the lead lap.
Otis is back out on the course.
Hutchinson is pitting. So that will inherit Chris Pence into 2nd place.
They keep falling like flies as Chris Pence chugs along, knowing he has the fuel to make it. 15 more laps. Can he execute 15 more without falling to the wall like we've seen 2 others do? What is Christian Steele gonna do? Meanwhile, Brian Barnes is only a 2nd and 3/10 behind Pence as well. If Pence makes a mistake, Barnes is there to try and capitalize.
Still can't be thinking that he's going to make it. He's slowing down.
Barnes was in at lap 210, so he's probably good to go, right, James? 210 should
210
should be able to get there, right?
Easily.
Really, we're looking at a race between Pence and Barnes now.
Remember, Barnes actually pitted after Pence, so he's probably safer on fuel. I don't know if Steele is going to attempt to run this thing to the end. When did he last pit? Do we know?
Oh yeah, it was in that well.
He's slowing down. He's trying to make it, and I don't think it's going to work out well for him. Though he can save a good amount with his lead.
His last stop was 199. I don't think that's doable.
There's no way. There's no way. There's a lot of wind. There's a lot of wind, and that's what's causing those issues in turn 2. We have gusts up to 10 miles an hour tonight.
I think what we have to keep an eye on here is the Pence Barn battle.
It's closing. This thing is not over for Pence. Though Barnes starts to lose a little bit of ground now, it's gone back up to over 1 second. So he lost 2/10 somewhere in there.
Barnes is going to start sniffing that draft here from Pence here before we know it.
5 cars on the lead lap.
Here we are on board Barnes, currently scored in 3rd. However, that's going to change as soon as Christian Steele comes in.
Steele is losing time to Pence. Oh, maybe he's turned the wicker down a lot.
I have to agree with James. I don't think going to be able to extend it that far. It's been completely green flag runs this whole way.
No, but he's trying. He's definitely got that in his mind.
He's losing more than a second a lap at this point.
Well, with 10 to go and a 9-second lead, that's almost right, man.
But will that save him enough fuel as well? There goes Ryan Otis. Otis actually, despite that accident, I guess he took his free car, still in 6th, but a lap down. There he goes. Steele was not able to make it. You can see him coming into the pits now.
Well, now...
Pence is into the lead.
But that yellow car, I'm going to call it yellow and purple, correct me if those colors are wrong, of yellow and blue, it's the Craco car, of course it's yellow and blue, of Brian Barnes is running in 2nd place and within striking distance of Pence.
We can see them both in the same screen. It's half a second between them. 9 laps to go.
Barnes has that trapped. Let's see if he's able to do anything with it.
We haven't seen much of Barnes battling in traffic today, so we have no idea what he can do. Pence has mostly been holding station behind drivers battling. This is about to get very, very interesting.
243 laps, and that's what we come down to, a 0.4 of a second lead.
Now
And
remember,
shrinking.
Barnes has pulled these alternate strategies a few times here and really made them work. He is closing fast. He's now up to 0.3. 0.2.
Oh, big push in turn 1 there.
Yeah, big push.
In fact, there
The
goes
push
Jason Fleischle.
is real.
He's going to have to regain some ground. He dropped about 0.3 there. Both cars working through traffic. Doyle Lawrence letting our leader by.
Another big push for him.
Jason Fleischle is going to work his way by the leader as well. He is a lap down, sitting in 10th. And we've got a caution.
That should
Jason
end it.
Pitts.
And that was with Sam Boren. Let's look at the replay. That was heading into 1 just ahead of our leaders.
That's on lap 244. Is there enough time to go green from there? 6 laps? Probably yes.
They were side by side, just they came together, and unfortunately behind them, Wayne Hutchison also looks like he got caught up in it. Just a little bit of a touch. Hopefully not too much damage. Pitts went for a wild ride, though.
What I'm looking to see is if Fleischle actually got his lap back for the yellow flag. We think that Fleischle got around Pence, and then the yellow flag comes out. That puts Fleischle on the back of the lead lap with only 7 cars on the lead lap.
But can he work his way through 7 cars in what will probably be 1 or 2 laps?
He'll have newer tires. He'll have much fresher tires than those guys.
Also, what can Mark Redeker do? We haven't brought him into the equation. Actually, Ryan Otis. Ryan Otis will start in 4th. We've seen him go from 4th to 1st in 2 laps before. Can Ryan Otis stage an incredible comeback after hitting the wall, taking a spare car, and getting himself back onto the lead lap with a lucky caution?
Oh, and they stay out. This is the good news for Pence is he should have enough fuel at this point. Him and Barnes, they can run on the full fuel map if they do go back to green here. But Otis does have a lot fresher tires as well, and a brand new car.
Otis is going to be
And the
sitting
pace.
right behind Barnes on the outside of row 2. Oh my
Remember,
goodness.
it's a single file start.
Oh, that's right, the single file. So that's 4 back. Well, that helps a little bit.
Doyle Lawrence getting our Ty E. Kennels last lucky dog of the night.
Let's hope this stays green all the way to the checkers. Whew. Man, we were expecting a thriller, and it just got turned on its head.
If we go back to green here, I think we're about to get a finish way more exciting than we were already getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barnes had lost touch with Pence, and it would have been a challenge for Barnes to get back up there. And like James was saying, Barnes didn't look good when he got behind Pence. He'd push almost every time. Holy moly! So, and then there's Mark Redeker. Sitting
No
in
idea
third.
what he holds.
I think he's saying, "How the heck am I in third place?"
Well, he was in third even before the caution. I think he was probably settled for just a nice quiet finish to the podium.
I think the third position he was in before the caution was going to be much more peaceful than the third he's in now with those sharks behind him.
I was going to say, if I was Mark Redeker, I would not be happy with whoever kicked off that caution, because I don't think he's going to hold on to that podium, unfortunately.
If we get the one to go next time by, we will have a one-lap shootout.
Here's crossing our fingers so that we don't finish under caution. So, if you're just joining us, we might be seeing a one-lap shootout. Drivers on all different types of tires and fuel. Chris Pence leading the way. He did it through strategy. Brian Barnes was hunting him down, couldn't quite chase him. Sitting in second on the same strategy. Mark Redeker, we haven't seen much of him. We have no idea what he holds. Ryan Otis led most of the way, looking like he might not be able to get the win because he had to make an extra stop. Hit the wall, thought he was out of it, got a fresh car. Now sitting in fourth. Then we go back to fifth. Alan Hesbeck has come back after early problems, very early on in the race, but we don't think he has anything in this fight. Although you never know, if something erupts and he manages to get around cars spinning, he could still be in this.
Oh, I think Doyle Lawrence at 8th place has a bit of a chance to win this, because it could get ugly up there. There's going to be hungry drivers.
Watch the pace car. Are we going to go back to green?
Lights are off. We're going to get one lap. How many cars do y'all think are going to make it back to the start? Because I'm not getting... I wouldn't be betting in Vegas right now.
And keep in mind, too, with this one-lap shootout, there is no more cautions. The iRacing does not throw a yellow if it's the last lap.
So we're green to the checkered flag is what you're saying then, right?
Yeah,
assuming
this is it.
Assuming they get this pace lap done, okay.
Pedal to the floor, try to make it to the finish. Chris Pence is going to be looking for the best restart of his life. 500 miles.
Pence is doing exactly what I would do. He's laying back from the pace car. As soon as that pace car goes in, he's gone. He's got to try and get as much of a jump on there to try and get as little draft to Barnes to notice as possible.
Joe, I'm taking a sip of my drink. It's all you, buddy. Take me home.
Right. Down the backstretch they go. 2.5 miles. Chris Pence has only led 25 laps. Ryan Otis has led 119. Ryan Barnes has led a single lap. Redeker 0. Alan Hesbeck 0. Carl Burke 0. Jason Fleischle in 7th, 51. Doyle Lawrence 0. Pace car now coming to the line here. Peels in. Chris Pence holding back. As you said, now he takes off. Trying for that good jump. Brian Barnes trying to hold on to it. Where is Ryan Otis? He is caught behind Redeker. Still a ways back. Pence got a good run, but what can Brian Barnes do? Will the aero wash keep him from making an attempt? He's starting to close in. Brian Barnes has the run down the backstretch. Here goes Pence to the inside. Barnes has a run. Looking to the outside of 3 and 4. Does he have enough momentum? No, he starts to drop back. He could still come back with a draft. Pitts has one more corner to go. Onto the front stretch. He's got it. Pitts comes to the line after 500 miles. It's Chris Pitts. And Ryan Otis was not able to get onto the podium. Redeker held him off. Oh no, excuse me. Otis did make it onto the podium. Great comeback from Ryan Otis. I'm sure not the finish that he was looking for. But whew, my heart is pounding. I can't imagine how hard Chris Pence's heart is beating inside his chest right now. After 500 miles, we are going to take a break. I think we've only taken 2 this whole time. So stick around, we're going to have the unofficial results as well as driver interviews as Chris Pence burns it up doing donuts on the front stretch. We also have upcoming races on the screen, so don't go away. Well, after 500 miles here around Auto Club Speedway, it was Chris Pence took home the W. Brian Barnes wasn't able to get by in those final corners, but still finished second. And Ryan Otis with a great charge at the end to round out the podium in third. Mark Redeker, unfortunately, who would have had a third without that caution most likely, finished fourth, losing out to Otis in the end. Carl Burke finished in fifth, and Jason Fleischle in sixth. Then we go to Alan Hesbeck, who came home in seventh, Doyle Lawrence in eighth, and then we get to cars who are a lap down. Christian Steele, unfortunately, finished a lap down in ninth, and Larry Ford, Bill, rounds out our top 10.
Michael Smith, we're going to get to hear from him in the interview in 11th position. Ed Barker in 12th. The Baker Dozen spot goes to Rob Gall. Mike Franklin, the sportsman driver, finishes in 14th position. Good finish from him. Nice to have him up with the big guys. Ryan Bird gave us some interesting racing in 15th position. Kyle Murphy in 16th. Wayne Hutchinson, one behind him. Matt Gelder in 18th. 19th spot goes to Sam Bourne. And rounding out the 20th is Jason Pitts. James?
We have Chris finishing in 21st. Nick Hunt right behind him. Drew Lalonde coming in 23rd. Stephen Polsine coming in 24th. And we have Ray Partridge. Mark Jabinski, I'm not going to try his nickname tonight. Henry Clark, Lionel Callisto there in 28th. David Williams, Adam J. Young, and rounding out our field is James Paulson.
Unfortunate for James Paulson to finish so far down, 213 laps down, so he was out very early on. However, we have some drivers that we want to talk to. First up, one of our... Oh, excuse me, before we go to the interviews, let's announce one of the awards that we have, thanks to one of our sponsors. Sentinel Shepherd's Hard Charger Award goes very easily to Brian Barnes. 31st place, very last place, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yes, very last place to second. He almost went from very last to very first. That is just incredible. So, that was our Hard Charger of the award of the night. So let's talk to one of our podium finishers. That is Ryan Otis, and I believe he is going to be talking to Bill.
Ryan Otis, congratulations. You have a copy?
Yep, I got you guys.
Great. Man, well, I think you had the fastest car out there. I think you had the car to beat today. Let's talk about the early part of the race before we get to the last part. Man, your car was good and it seemed to be good on long stints. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I was running probably more downforce than some, and late in the run, the car just seemed to pull away from everybody, so I was trying to make the most of it.
Then you got to the back. Then you made your way. We watched you get your way through the field. That was really exciting. But let's go to about lap 193, and there's a yellow flag. Now, we were in the booth wondering, are you going to pit or not? Some of the guys came in, certainly our winner came in, and one stopped it from there. Did you consider coming in at that time?
Yeah, I really thought about it. I knew I would be probably plus or minus a lap on fuel, and I knew it was going to be close, and I was basically banking on it not going green for that long, and it turned out that it went green for super long, and so that ended up being the right choice for the winner to do it.
Yeah, I bet you were out there. When is the yellow coming? Last question then. So then you know you have one stop to go. What was your plan when you knew you had one stop? Were you going to try to split the middle? Are you going to try to run it as long as you could? Your decision was kind of made for you.
Yeah, I was going to try to run it long because I knew my car was pretty fast on long runs, and then I must have just put my tires a little more than I thought moving through lap traffic and just lost it going through two.
Where did you swear?
I got close, almost.
Well, man, you put on quite a show, and you still managed to get a podium out of it with all that excitement. So congratulations, and last question. I'll let you go because it was a long race. I'm taking up too much. Do you consider yourself an oval racer or a road course racer?
I'd say I normally consider myself a road course racer, but I've had pretty good luck at ovals recently.
All right, thanks, Ryan. I took up all everyone else's time. Congratulations, show.
All right, thanks, guys.
That was Ryan Otis, third place finisher for today. Next up, we have Jason Fleischle, who finished in 6th position, had to make a comeback of his own, didn't do as well as Ryan Otis did. Jason, we unfortunately caught your brush with the wall. How much damage did that do to you?
Oh, I didn't touch the wall. I never touched the wall.
Oh, really? We thought we had caught it on air, that you had actually just brushed it towards the end of the race before that final caution.
Oh no, nothing showed up on my screen. No.
Well, that changes everything. We know that you were trying pretty much a similar strategy to Ryan Otis there in the end. What was going through your head when suddenly you started getting this long green flag run?
Oh yeah, we were just going at it, and I was giving it everything just to try and stay with him. And by this time, forearms are burning, the wrists are just wanting to quit and stop, and fatigue was definitely a factor. And he and I both just burned up our tires. We weren't out of gas there; our tires were just done. And when I saw his mistake, I decided, okay, now's the time. Dive in the pits, and I couldn't get it slowed down. Got to hold T20 seconds, so that ruined my chances right there.
We had missed that actually, so that's why you finished so much farther down.
Yeah,
we saw that you were pretty much in the fight for the lead for most of this race, at least until you got sent down through the field about midway through. What were your thoughts on a lot of the battling that kept going on up front? Were you okay with everybody dicing like that, or would you have rather seen it a little bit more pedestrian up front?
It was fine. I mean, I would have preferred everybody just lined up and cruised, but this group doesn't really do that. This group wants to race up front, and that's great. It was fun, and I was actually, to be honest, I was surprised that my race setup was as competitive as it was. It was a lot of fun.
Well, this is, I believe, round 7 done, and unfortunately I'm looking through the top 10 on the championship. I'm not seeing you in that, so are you thinking about championship in this series, or are you just out here for whatever wins you can take?
Oh, yeah, I think pulling a championship out is going to take a stellar second half of the season. I'm going to go for it. I'm here to try and get out as high up that board as I can. I mean, I was sitting in 10th at one time, and this, 6th place in this race, that'll help a little bit. That should move me up quite a few places. So, no, I'm definitely going at it as hard as I can.
Well, commiserations on the bad luck there at the end of the race, but nicely done 6th place, as you said, at least a decent points haul.
Yep. That
was Jason Fleischle, who finished in 6th position here at Auto Club Speedway. One last interview that we've got, since unfortunately none of our other podium finishers have come to talk to us, and that is Christian Steele, who finished in 9th place. I believe Bill is going to be talking to Christian.
Hi, Christian. I'm going to give you congratulations at 9th place, but you are up there. Let's talk about the end of the race there. Did you have thoughts of, you were slowing down, did you have thoughts of maybe going the distance without that last pit stop, or did you know you had to do it?
Well, I was out there for just as long as I could. I was down by at least 8 laps there, and I just wanted to stay out. I knew if there was a yellow that came out, I would have caught some of the faster guys in the caution. They would have been a lap down, and I thought I had a chance, but obviously the yellow didn't fall my way.
Yeah, the yellow didn't fall a lot of people's way. It's hard to believe that it went green so long at the end. You had to be thinking, God, the yellow's going to come sometime.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but the attrition really... once we only had like 15 cars left at the end of the race, so I think that might have played as a factor.
Right. Did you think you had... I think Otis might have been the car to beat. Was that your impression? Did you think you have... You could certainly pass him, so I guess you had a chance. Did you really think he was the car to keep an eye on? Or what were you thinking when you battled up there with Fleischle and Otis?
I think we all had about the same car at the start of the run, but I was falling off pretty badly at the and I mean I couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah, we noticed Otis was really tough on those long runs. Well, congratulations on a look. You finished, or did you finish on the lead lap? No, one lap down. You were up there in front. You had the lead near the end. It was a great race. You got a lot of screen time. Congratulations. Do you consider yourself an oval racer or a road racer?
I'm definitely an oval racer.
On the open cockpits, or do you like the tin tops? Or doesn't matter?
Drive Indy Open, so I mean, I do some road once in a while on the IndyCar, but mostly open. Oval.
We did a good job today. Congratulations for 249 laps, man. That's a lot to be. That's a lot to get under. Take a break, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you,
Joe.
Well, we're trying to get Chris Pence. He's interested in coming and doing an interview. Might be able to kill a little bit of time waiting for him to get here. I know James has been working to pull him into the booth.
It would be great to get him because
that last lap.
Yeah,
I want
the
to ask
last
him
lap
about that last lap.
And the strategy of and how he had the yellow flag came out and really at the end he had the race wrapped up. I think we have him maybe.
I don't see him in here yet, but while we're waiting, Bill, tell me your thoughts on this race. Another 500-miler in the book. This is our third one, I believe. And then we also had a 600-miler, so quite a few long races on the oval side so far.
Yeah, let me just get away from this race and just go big picture with the series in general. I think out of all the series we cover and on all the series I know of on our racing, I think that Mike Willett runs maybe, arguably the best series on iRacing. Really good, and all the guys participating we see the same names every time. The fields are always big. He's running 2 splits. He has both splits televised. I don't think you could ask for any more from a series.
Certainly not. It's been really great competition this season. I mean, one of the worries that we had talked about in private is the depth of talent, wanting to make sure that it's ensured that, we've got good racing going on, and man, they have delivered and then some, extending it to these 4 different clubs. And
maybe we can bring Michael Smith in. I guess we have a chance. No, we already did that. Sorry. When are we talking?
No, we haven't done Smitty yet.
Okay. I think he's there. Do we hear that he's available?
Let's bring in him real quick to talk to him because he was a front runner. Smitty, we got to see you win down at Charlotte, but unfortunately it looks like you weren't able to repeat today.
Well, first off, thanks for taking the extra time here and chatting with me. No, we were up front, man. We had a great car. We had another shot at it. And then I got hung out on that yellow with Otis. We were both working our way through, and then he was able to make it up a little bit faster than me, and I got basically collected in traffic, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I think we saw that at one point. We were trying to remember during the break which car it was exactly that you had problems with. It's been a variety of different cars. This is obviously the second time we've done the DW12. How do you like having to switch between these in this series? Is it fun or is it more of a pain?
No, it's a lot of fun, but it is really, really difficult. I mean, Mike, he does a great job with this series and all the hard work he puts in. Another shout out actually to Adam, who actually made things happen this week while Mike was gone. But it's really, really challenging. I mean, for me, I did the Gen 6 most of last year, so I was pretty comfortable with that. I'm not as fast as some of these other guys like Pence, but having to go and learn road courses this year and all that kind of stuff, even though I know how to do it in the real world, this is big time challenging.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I have hopped between a few cars in my experience with iRacing. It definitely takes some adjustment. I can't imagine doing it multiple times throughout the year and then having to compete at this sort of level. Well, commiserations that you weren't able to finish a little bit higher. You were 11th today, so you made a decent comeback, but I'm sure you probably were wishing for more.
Yeah, this was going to be a big one for the mates. We were towards the front, and we had a shot at picking up some big ones, and unfortunately got, like I said, collected with somebody else's deal. We'll have to go on to the next one, which is unfortunately a big series of very, very tough courses. So thank you to you guys for the broadcast. Thanks to Grandstand for being on the side of the car, and obviously what I'm driving today. And yeah, we'll see you guys at Darlington.
Definitely looking forward to seeing you there. That was, Michael Smitty Smith finishing in 11th today here at Auto Club Speedway, hoping for a little bit more. Unfortunately, looks like we are not able to get Chris in here. We were trying to get the info to him, but I guess we just couldn't get him pulled out in time. So Chris, we definitely were looking forward to talking to you, and congratulations on your win, man. It was a thriller for us. We enjoyed it up here in the booth. Let's close out today by thanking our sponsors, Tyee Kennels and Sentinel Shepherds. Obviously, thanks to Mike Willett, the organizer of the Pacific Majors. Also, thanks to iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio-Technica, Behringer, and AverMedia, the software and hardware that we use to make these broadcasts possible. Thanks to the team today, Kevin, James, and Bill, as well as Dougie for his cameras. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /globalsimracingchannel.com. And not only can that keep you up to date with what is going on in our world, but you can interact with us. All of our commentators and staff love to talk to our fans and see what you guys think of what is going on in our races and in our broadcasts. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide music for our broadcast. You can buy Eric's music on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Next race, as has been mentioned, is going to be Darlington in the Gen 6 cars. That'll be Sunday, September 13th, so just under a month from now, and that'll kick off at 5:45 p.m. Pacific time. We also have upcoming races for other series on screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Don't miss out, because there's lots of exciting ones. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.